Hello, Mr. Muro. Okay,
Morning,
find it.
Mr. Muro.
Finally.
No, sorry.
おはようございます。
おはようございます。
Okay, okay.
We are waiting
よ
for
かっ
you.
たです。
Okay.
Good. So we are ready from Japan.
How's Malaysian speakers? We are ready?
Yeah, we are
Okay.
ready.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So Sida, we can start.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we on live.
Thank you, Mr. Helmi.
Okay, all right. Assalamualaikum, my brothers and sisters. Minasan ohayo gozaimasu. A very good morning to everyone. And a very warm welcome to Prof. Dr. Abdul Razak Safian, Dean of Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design, Datuk Prof. Dr. Brothers and Sisters. And joining us today, our friends from Okayama, and also a very special guest, Dr. Yukari Mimura, Dean of Graduate School of Okayama University, together with our esteemed speakers from Okayama. Sensei Yokoso, welcome. I'm Noor Shidawati Abdul Rashid, a graduate student of Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design. I'll be the session MC, moderator this morning. So for your information, so a little bit of background. For information, this is the second series of Sustainable Development Talk 2021, organized by Urban and Regional Planning Department under the collaborative research between URP, Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design, International Islamic University, and Graduate School of Education, Okayama University, Friends of Sungai Pusu, River of Life, IIUM, Friends of Sungai Klang, Taman Melawati, River Tree, and Jungle School, Gombak. So let's start with the first order of the day. So I'm just going to share with you some tips. We're going to have a long session today. So as the speaker is speaking, I would like to recommend that you mute your mic and also have your camera switched on so we can have great interaction with the speakers. And also if you feel tired, maybe you can just take screen breaks. Feel free to maybe stand and maybe sit. If you feel tired of standing, you can sit, and if you feel tired of long sitting, then you can stand. And also you can keep yourself hydrated. So make sure that you have a cup of water with you. So without further ado, let's welcome a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Abdul Razak, Dean of Kuliah Architecture and Environmental Design, for his welcoming remark. Prof, the session is yours. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sister Noor Shidawati. Okay, our graduate students, for inviting me as the MC for today and also a moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning, everybody. Sorry, I cannot speak Japanese, but I can speak Javanese. Okay, although I'm very close with Japanese counterpart, especially my friend in Kyoto since 1999. Okay, but unfortunately, I still cannot speak Japanese. Anyway, I would like first to warmly welcome everybody, especially all the participants. And I would like also to welcome our special guest, Dr. Yukari Mimura, the Dean of Graduate School of Education of Okayama Universities, and all the participants, especially the organizer on both sides, okay, of the university, the Okayama University, and also KAID. And just now, our MC already mentioned that this is the second talk, series of second talk, KAID Sustainable Development Talk. The first one, if I'm not mistaken, was held on the 7th of May. Okay, and unfortunately, I cannot join that talk, okay, because I got another meeting. But today, although I mentioned just now, I got another 2 meeting. One is on the 10:30, and the other one is actually now ongoing, the University Management Committee. Okay, but because of Dr. Irina persistently asked me to join this first in order, so I cannot say no. So I said to her that okay, I will join, and after this I need to leave and join the other 2 meetings. Anyway, I was informed that the first series of talk is a very successful one. Congratulations to all of you, especially Dr. Irina and Hiroko, okay, for having the first talk series. So I was also informed that this webinar is one of the activities under the collaborative research between IIUM, especially KAID, and Okayama University on the revisiting the Okayama model of education for sustainable development. And this research focuses on how the ESD implements and learn from the Okayama city known as the UNESCO Okayama model of ESD in 2017. And I also would like to inform everybody that yesterday is actually our Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design birthday, 25th birthday. Okay, we was established in 1st June 1996, and yesterday is the 1st June 2021. So yesterday is our birthday, and Alhamdulillah, we are having very active activities, okay, not only among us but also among our strategic partners, and one of it is actually Okayama University. Okay, so at Kuliah level, we are very pleased to have all these people that always look into activities that working together with our strategic partners, and in specific talking about sustainable development. Okay, so and I was also informed that this project or this activity is one of the activities in the project that was funded by the Sumitomo Foundation for 2 years of research project, which is since last year and until today. And also I was approached by Dr. Irina that maybe after ending this project, we are going to have another 4 years project, okay, together with Okayama University, okay. And I was informed that this is going to be the action plan CCE for 4 years collaborations, okay. And it's actually talking about action plan for climate change education 2021-2024. And I pray that this proposal is going to be accepted, and we'll be able to have another project together with all of you in the future. So, and I was informed that this session will showcase how the community and school get involved in the river education and community-based approach in Okayama City, and also community around the Gombak area. That's why I saw just now Dr. Zalifa from Jungle School is here, Dr. Ma'an, okay, and some of our people, the Malawati project, rivers, and so on. So this is actually a communities surround the Gombak area, such as River of Life, Friend of Sungai Fusu, and Friend of Sungai Klang, Taman Malawati, and also Jungle School, Gombak. So I saw that in the list, okay, we have a very prominent speakers that is going to talk about the specific topic, okay. The first 2 speakers, Mr. Takayuki Muro and Eiichi Tomonobu, are the river rangers and river activists for 2 rivers in Okayama Prefecture, okay, which is actually Hayagawa and Ashikawa rivers, which are challenged by the upstream development plan of the golf course. So in in our university, IIM also, we have this type of challenges. Okay, even our campus also been challenged by the development surround us, especially the upstream, because the upstream is actually a mountain and it was slowly developed by the owner of the land. Okay, and it's actually directly affected our campus. Maybe this is going to be a good case studies, okay, that we can learn from that and how we be able to tackle for our universities also. The Malaysia speaker will both sides of the story. The first two good story on how the River 3 program, Friend of Sungai Kelang, Taman Melawati, able to create a program to educate a river stewardship function through GRE education action, gotong royong through actions. The second, third, and fourth speaker from IUM, okay, as I did mention just now, Dr. Zalifa, I was informed that she will share the unit program of Jungle School Gombak, where the indigenous people or the native people are involved in sharing the traditional ecological knowledge for river care. The third, as I saw Dr. Ma'an just now, will share the not a good story about Pusu River. Maybe this is the one that I mentioned just now. Dr. Ma'an will share our not good story, okay, which provide valuable lesson for us to take care of the environment. And fourth, of course, Dr. Irina itself, okay, will look at the Pusu River problem from the regional perspective, taking into account the environmental and regional planning development and its potential solution toward nature-based solution. At last, Dr. Hiroku from Okayama University will give the ESD analysis and summarization of each of the speakers' presentation as a lesson learned for ESD implementation for other issues. So I hope that the webinar will give contribution to the field of ESD, social learning, urban governance, river management, and sustainable development. And before I end my speech, I once again would like to congratulate the URP department, in specific Dr. Irina, for taking this initiative together with the Graduate School of Education, Okayama University, and in specific Dr. Hiroku, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and also with other strategic partners. Okay, we have other strategic partners for successfully having this ongoing important event. And I believe that this effort is a very commendable one, and it's actually in line with KAID and with IIUM strategy that we are very, very serious in promoting this sustainable development. So with that, I wish all of you enjoy the event, enjoy the talk, and hopefully at the end of the day, we'll be able to get a very fruitful point that we can implement together. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, and thank you, Prof, for your insight and overview on the session. Next, everyone, let's put our hands together to welcome Dr. Yukari Mimura, Dean of Graduate Schools of Okayama University, to share a few words. Yukari Sensei, dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Yukari Mimura, Dean of Graduate School of Education, Okayama University. Thank you for inviting me to this international webinar today, and I'm glad to meet you all. Our university is located close to the center of Okayama City, and there are various ESD initiatives related to the river, which is today's common issue. I think today's talk will be very interesting, as the two guest speakers from Okayama have played a central role and worked steadily for rivers. As for the speaker from Malaysia, I'm looking forward to seeing many things in common as well as new perspectives. I hear that Dr. Irina Safituri-Zen, Assistant Professor, met Dr. Hiroko Shibakawa, Assistant Professor, ESD Promoting Center, Graduate School of Education, through the International Conference on the Sustainability University Barometer held at IIUM in 2019. I'm happy to know that both of you have been actively exchange your academic expertise since then and proceeding the international collaboration research on ESD. Graduated by Sumitomo Japan Related Research Foundation after Dr. Irina experienced ESD model of Okayama during Global Conference on Teacher Education for ESD in 2019. Like IIUM, Okayama University is also working to achieve the SDGs adopted at the UN Summit. This program is designed to promote activities to achieve goals in cooperation and collaboration with local communities toward the realization of sustainable society by resolving issues that exist in local communities and around the world. The Graduate School of Education aims to develop human resources who can contribute widely to the local community by making use to their expertise in education and research, and by collaborating with teachers and students in various fields, not to mention school education. I believe that this will spread to the future and to the world, and it will become a means to realize a sustainable society. Through this kind of international webinar, I heartily welcome that active practitioners from Malaysia, as well as IIUM and the surrounding communities will be able to interact and learn from each other about concrete example of sustainability SDGs initiatives. There are many differences in climate, culture, and religion between Japan and Malaysia. However, I think we can learn even more from the differences. I'd also like to conclude my remarks by expecting to promote more research exchange and contribute to co-creation of the knowledge for reorientation of ESD in Malaysia and Japan. Thank you very much.
Yukari Sensei, domo arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you for sharing some of the strategic direction of Okayama University in terms of advancing sustainable development goals. And I feel that is a very commendable effort they are doing towards also promoting a resilient community in Okayama. Brothers and sisters, before we move on to the first slot, I have also posted an attendance link. I would also advise you to register through the link so that, register accordingly through the link. All right, let's get to the first slot, which is entitled School Involvement in River Care, the Okayama Experience. So brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the moment that we all have been waiting for, this very exciting sharing from our Japanese friends from Okayama. And we have a very special guest, or two very special guests today, our river conservation heroes all the way from Okayama. To start off this morning, I would like to pass the floor to two very special gentlemen. They are going to be sharing a slot entitled School Involvement in River Care Okayama Experience. However, before I pass this session over to both these gentlemen, allow me to read a short excerpt from their talks. So the first talk by Mr. Takayuki Muro will focus on the establishment of a river care group dubbed as River Rangers, which was initiated when the students saw fish laying eggs from the Odagawa River in Yakage town. The incident got them excited and changed their perspective on the value of the river. So initially they thought the river was a dangerous and dirty place. However, since the encounter, the River Ranger group was established and the rest, they say, is history. So, and the second talk by Mr. Eiichi Tamonobu will focus on his experience with Hayakengawa River, which revolves around a plan to build a golf course at the top of the river. And he's also going to be sharing insights on citizen activism generated due to this problem. Just a reminder, Takayuki Sensei and Eiichi Sensei talk will also be translated through UD Talk. So what I'll do is that I will share the UD Talk link in the chat box. Please direct your attention later to the chat box. Without further ado, Takayuki Sensei talk, Eiichi Sensei, dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. This session is yours.
皆さん、こんにちは。岡山の、室孝之です。今日はどうぞよろしくお願いします。私の英語力はとても低いので、今日は UD トークに全部お願いしていますので、お聞き苦しい点があるかもしれませんが、どうぞよろしくお願いします。画面を共有したいと思います。共有できてますでしょうか。はい。それでは今日は、川レンジャー矢影の活動を紹介したいと思います。私たちの町を流れる川を大切にしましょうという活動です。この写真は本の表紙です。見にくい。この本なんですが、この本は活動には直接関係ありません。さまざまな橋を紹介する本です。偶然私たちの様子が写った写真が表紙に使われました。この時の活動ですが、体育の授業中に生徒とこの橋の上で川を見ていました。ちょうど橋の上から魚が産卵する様子が見えたのです。生徒たちはとても感動しました。普段は勉強が得意でないその生徒たちは、あまり興奮したり感動することが少ないのですが、この魚の産卵を見たときはとても感動し、私にその感動を伝えてきました。彼らが学校生活の中でこんなに感動している姿を見たのは初めてでした。生徒たちにとって自然の中で本物の体験をすることは非常に重要だと感じました。川は生徒たちにとって身近なものではありませんでした。生徒たちは川で遊んだことがなかったのです。 川は危険だ。川は汚れている。川べりにはこのようなサインボードが立てられ、生徒は川から離れていったのです。どうすれば生徒たちに川に対する関心を持たすことができるだろうか。私は生徒たちと川との関係を取り戻したかったのです。その関係を取り戻すために、ホタルの繁殖に取り組みました。ホタルは川の状態が悪いと生きることができません。矢掛町はホタルが多いことで有名な町です。ホタルは川と人間の生活のバランスを示します。私は生徒たちがホタルの繁殖に取り組むことが生徒たちに川に関心を持たせると考えました。これは矢掛町のホタルの様子です。ちょうど今、夜になると私の家の前でもホタルがたくさん飛んでいます。学校内でホタルの繁殖活動を始めました。ホタルを捕まえ、水槽の中で卵を産ませます。その卵は幼虫になり、生徒たちは大きくなるまで育てます。育てた幼虫を川に返します。校内でホタルの飼育を始めると、生徒たちは積極的に活動に参加しました。生徒たちは自分たちで活動を起こし始めたのです。彼らは学校の中に小川を作りました。その小川にホタルの幼虫を放流したのです。次の年、ホタルは成虫になり、学校の中でホタルが飛び交いました。この写真がそうです。生徒たちの活動は学校外の川へも広がっていきました。ホタルの繁殖活動に参加した生徒たちは川での活動を始めたのです。清掃活動、水質調査、魚道修繕、啓発活動、彼らは絶滅危惧種の魚の保護と繁殖活動も始めました。生徒たちは魚の繁殖のための設備を作りました。これは学校内に作った魚の繁殖のための施設です。魚たちはこの施設の中で産卵しました。生徒たちの意識は山や海にも広がりました。川の水は山から流れてきます。川の水は海へ流れていきます。生徒たちは水源林へ行き、森の大切さを知りました。彼らは海へ行き、川の役割を知りました。彼らは子どもたちに大切なことを教えました。川の大切さを子どもたちに伝える活動を始めたのです。彼らは森の大切さも子どもたちに伝えました。彼らは教育が重要だということを理解したからです。 活動に参加した生徒たちの中で、環境問題について大学で学ぶ生徒たちも出てきました。水の問題や環境について学ぶために大学に進学する生徒たちが現れました。これは岡山大学ですが、岡山大学に進学した生徒も何人もいます。彼らは今も川や水に関係する仕事をしています。経験は深い学びに効果を示しました。川のことを知らない生徒たちは川を大切にしたいと思いません。しかし、川に住んでいる生き物のことを知り、川の役割を知り、自分たちの命や健康について知ると、川を大切にする活動を始めます。特に体験することによって得た知識は、学習意欲を高めます。そして、より深い学びへと導いていきます。そして、その活動の中には、学びが仕事につながる者もいます。本物に触れる機会を持つことがとても重要です。子どもたちは本物の体験を必要としています。私は子どもたちやその保護者たちに川で遊ぶ体験を通して川の大切さを伝える活動を続けています。川で遊んだ子どもたちは必ず川を大切にすると信じています。毎年この写真のように小学生やその保護者を連れて川に行き、魚を取ったり川の役割について学ぶ活動を行っています。子どもたちは真剣に話を聞いてくれます。私の話を聞いてくださってありがとうございます。今朝のニュースで COVID-19 でマレーシアが大変な状況であることを知りました。皆さんの健康と安全を心から願っています。次回お会いする時までにはもう少し英語のスキルを上げておこうと思います。今日はありがとうございました。
Arigatou gozaimasu, Sensei.
はい。
Next, we'll have Eiichi Sensei. Dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu.
皆さん、こんにちは。岡山の友信と申します。私も、UD トークを、使わせてもらいます。よろしくお願いします。今、私の、背景にあるのが百軒川という川です。はい。私はここの川が大好きで、今から40年ぐらい前から、ここと付き合ってます。そこでの経験を、イリナさんのインタビューでお話しさせていただいたことがあって、それで今日皆さんにお会いすることができました。40年間の話の中で、私がすごく、今につながる大きな経験をしたことをまず話しさせていただいて、それが今どういうふうにつながって、川を大切にする運動になっているのかというところを簡単に話をさせてもらいます。よろしくお願いします。じゃあ画面共有します。 話が1980年からの話になります。まず、今日話をする百間川っていう川は、岡山市の中を流れている川の一部です。旭川という川が岡山県の県北から140キロ、流れてきた、その最も、下流部に位置します。岡山大学からもすごく近い場所にありまして、岡山市内から、車でも10分か15分で行ける場所です。実は百間川って今日、お話しするところは、300年前に、岡山市を洪水から守るために、昔の人の技術の水を集めて、作られた人工の、川の一部です。治水施設として、一の新手という、施設がありますが、今は、実は、ここ40年、50年かけて、町を守るためにもう一度工事をしました。古い、構造をそのまま生かしながら、新しい技術を入れて、これからも使える川にしようということで工事が進められました。3年前に大きな洪水が岡山でも、矢掛でもあったんですけれども、ちょうど工事が終わった時にこの洪水がありまして、岡山の、水害を少し少なくする役割を果たしました。治水上の人間が作った放水路ですけれども、昔は田んぼだったこともあって、水辺の、水田にいるような生き物とか、川にいる生き物、そして、里山にいるような生き物もたくさんいる、場所です。ここに掲げているようなのが、いる生き物ですけども、下の植物については今はもう絶滅して見られない状態です。ちょうど今は、先ほど、室先生の話にもありましたが、百間川周辺でもホタル、ファイアフライがたくさん飛んでいる、自然豊かな場所です。一方で、治水施設であるとともに、今は市民の憩いの場で今なっていて、これは市民の人が勝手に植えた桜、20年前に勝手に植えた桜なんですが、それを、が今は桜の名所になってたくさんの人が親しんでいる場所でもあります。2014年に岡山で ESD の、世界会議があったときに、実はここ、河川管理されている方と一緒に、エクスカーションで、来ていただきました。まあ、その時、今日の話にもつながりますが、私にとっては ESD の活動の原点だということもあって、ここを推薦させていただいたということがあります。この百間川は今、さっき少し言いましたが、50年ぐらいかけて改修工事が行われました。その中で、実は豊かな自然も失われる危機がありました。これ私の40年前の写真なんですけど、この下にあるのがレンゲ畑ですけれど、ここへ先ほどの絶滅の危惧になる、魚が産卵に来たりしていた場所です。でとっても、自然が豊かで子供の遊び場としても適した場所なので、そういう場所を大切にしようという活動が、1980年代に行われてました。わんぱく教室という名前で、活動していましたが、身近なところで自然体験をする活動です。私たちはここの場所を勝手にわんぱくランドと名付けて、子供たちの自然体験をいろんなことをやってました。ここに出てるいろんな絵が当時やったことですが、泳いだり、野草を食べたり、隠れ家を作ったり、子供の遊びを、たくさんやってました。 しかし、今が30年前ですけれども、私たちが、活動している場所が、突然、ゴルフ場になるという計画が持ち上がりました。当時は日本は、バブル経済ということで、各地で開発が進められていました。特にゴルフ場につきましては、お金が儲かるということで、当時あったゴルフ場の倍以上のゴルフ場を急に作ろうという話が持ち上がってました。私たちは、驚きましたし、悲しみました。で、国や県や市と私たちの関係から言うと、もう、ゴルフ場になってしまうことを諦めなきゃいけないと思いましたが、やはりこれには問題があると思って声を上げました。ゴルフ場の問題っていうのは、私たちにとっては、自分たちが遊び場として子供と自然体験をしていた原っぱが、なくなるということでしたが、それ以外にも、開発によって起こる様々な問題があります。当時一番大きかったのは、隣が、水道局の浄水場で、そこに、農薬が、入っていくんじゃないかと。これを、地域のお母さん方はとても、心配しました。また、地域の合意があってこの工事を始めると、県や市は説明しましたが、実際には誰もこの工事が行われることを知りませんでした。で、なんとかこれを止めようということで、私たちは、まず、声を上げる。ほとんどの人は諦めて、もう仕方ないだろうと思ってたんですが、当時はインターネットとかがなかったので、新聞に投書すると、またチラシを配るということをしました。そうしますと、結構同じようなことに問題だと思っている人が多くいたことが分かりました。自然保護団体とか、地域のお母さんたち、また子ども会の反対を表明してくれました。で、学識経験者とか、ちょっとどんどん広がっていきまして、政治団体、政党とかでも反対を表明するところが出てきました。実は、私たちが自然体験する活動を、応援してくれていた、新聞社の方がおられまして、そういう方も応援してくれました。私たちはやっぱり自然体験の大切さを伝えていこうということで、そういう活動をゴルフ場反対の途中でもずっと続けました。また、自然環境についての調査をして、こういう絶滅危惧の生き物があるので、保護してくださいという話もしました。これについては、建設省、当時のですね、川を管理している、ところで、保護のための対策を取ってくれました。また、代わりにこういうふうになったらいいんじゃないかという提案をして、これを市長にとか、県とかに、持って行ったりしました。ちょっと待ってください。戻しますね。出てくるかな。これらの活動っていうのは、活動を、すみません、ちょっと、これらの活動はですね、私たちが声を上げましたが、それにこうしてたくさんの団体の方がやっぱり反対だっていうことを言ってくれました。一つの大きな団体が、全体を支配していたわけではなく、たくさんの声がたくさん急激に広まった。 それが結果的にはたくさんの人に、伝播するということにつながりました。政治的に、やっぱり止めるためには、政策を変えなきゃいけないということで、反対の署名集めが行われました。当時、岡山市の人口は50万から55万ぐらいだったんですが、10万人の反対署名が集まりました。他にもいくつかの問題があって、次の年に行われた岡山市長選挙で、ゴルフ場に反対する候補が当選し、ゴルフ場を作る、組織に出資していたお金を引き上げて、ゴルフ場計画は凍結になりました。ただ、県はまだ続けるという意向を示していましたが、最終的には、その、組織もなくなって完全に終了しました。この中で様々な方々と私は出会うことになり、今 ESD でお付き合いしている方々もこの時との出会いが非常に今につながっています。ゴルフ場の問題につきましては、この3年間の、反対運動とかで終わったのですが、実はこの後、実は私たちにとってはここからが始まりでした。自分たちが、身近な自然で大切だという場所を河川改修工事が行われていく中で、どう、開発と、保全を、調和させていくのかということを提案していく活動をこの後、継続していきました。これはもう最近の活動の写真なんですけれども、川で、遊んだり、また、うなぎという絶滅危惧種の、魚がおりますが、それの研究をしている研究者と一緒に啓発活動をやったり、また地域の、行事であるトンドという、その火をつけている、活動ですけれども、これを川の中でやったり、野草を食べる行事をしたり、こういうことを、少しずつですが、今も続けています。一方、百間川は浅井川という川の一部ですので、同じような思いをしている人々同士で、つながるような、ネットワークができて、それに参加しています。20年前になりますが、ここの改修工事の計画が、進んだときに、地域の人が、先ほどのその桜もですけども、勝手に桜を植えたり、ホタルの保護活動もやられてたり、歴史的なものを残そうとか、いろんな意見を、ここの地域に持ってくださる方が、出てきました。ゴルフ場に、ここの図は全部、ゴルフ場になる計画だった場所ですけれども、非常にいろんな可能性のある場所です。ただ、治水のために工事はしなければいけないということが決まってました。工事が行う前に地域の人と一緒に公民館に集まってワークショップをやったりして、一つの絵にまとめ、建設省に提案しました。基本的には、個々の意見を取り入れていただけることになりました。一方、そうは言っても、生き物がどんどん種類が減っていたこともあって、試しにそういう、水辺の生き物を復活できないかっていう取り組みを、2005年頃、建設省の人と一緒に行いました。これは水底の泥を、作って、みんなでプランターで育てて、そこから出てくる、植物を再生しようとした活動です。また、川の中に生える樹木を、環境保全と、治水を、市民の手で管理する活動ができないかということで、7年間ほど、川の木を市民で買って、治水する活動をしました。河川改修が始まるまでこの活動をしました。実際河川改修が始まるという中では、 生き物、がたくさんいる場所が埋まってしまう、ことが、分かりました。この時には、河川を工事する、建設省の人たちと市民と研究者が一緒に川の生き物を救って移動させる作業を行いました。200人近くの方が来てくださって、2500匹ぐらいの生き物を移動させました。こういう市民参加型の調査というのを私たち結構やってますが、旭川の流域でも今は行ってまして、これは去年やった貝掘り調査という、川を干し上げてそこの生き物を調べるという調査です。で、みんなで調べて、みんなで環境を知ろうという活動をしています。私は、百間川っていうところで40年、付き合ってきましたが、そこの中で、いろんなことを学ばせてもらいました。やっぱり大切だと、思った場所に対しては、問題が起こったときに声を上げるっていうことは、一人からでも、すごく大切だと思います。そして、その声、共感の輪を広げていくような活動を、メディアも使いながら行うことが大切だったなと、思います。自分たちの活動だけじゃなくて、他の活動と一緒に、つながっていくこと。それは今の ESD とか、今日皆さんと一緒にお話ができるということにまでつながってきてますので、非常に大きいなと思います。調査、身近な自然に対しての調査っていうのは、やはり、継続していくこと。たとえ小さなことでも、それが、後で役に立つということがありました。で、この中で、絶滅危惧種を復活させてみようとか、木を切ってみんなで使おうっていうようなことを、しましたが、そういうアイディアを持っている方と、他の人がやっていないような活動をこのコーナーに取り入れて、ワクワク、活動させていただくこともできました。で、私たちはここをゴルフが嫌いなわけじゃなくて、いろんなことができる場所にしたいっていう、すごい可能性のある場所だっていうことを、言い続けてきました。そういう中でやっぱり子供たちの遊びっていうことが原点にありますので、そういう場所としてここを、維持できたっていうことは非常に、嬉しいことです。その中ではいろんな人が市民参加っていうことも、必ずやっていこう。もう一つ大きかったのが、ここを管理している国土交通省ですね。今でいう国土交通省、河川管理している人と、自然とか歴史の共生を図りながら、河川工事を進めるという意味で、ビジョンを共有できたということです。それに沿っていろいろなことが、私たちが思っている形とは変わりましたけれども、継続してできています。そして、できる範囲で、活動を続けてきています。それで何より、やっぱりずっとここが好きだということです。そういう思いを持った人が、やっぱりたくさんいたということが、今も、百間川を、いい川と思えるような場所に、しているんじゃないかなと思います。はい。私の発表は以上です。皆さんとも、この川、またマレーシアの川でご一緒できることがあればいいなと思っています。ありがとうございました。
Arigatou gozaimasu, Sensei. I'm seeing a very interesting sharing with both Takayuki Sensei and Eiichi Sensei. And I'm also witnessing practices of citizen science activities community action and participation across both presentation, which is, I think, very interesting and exciting. And these are the two approaches that has been promoted in education for sustainable development. All right, let's go and also continue with the second slot. Okay, we've heard from our Japanese counterpart, and now let's share some of this interesting and exciting experience of river care from in our home front. So we have with us today, brothers and sisters, our own local river care hero, Mr. Kennedy Michael, founder and program director of Alliance of River Tree. So Kennedy's presentation will explore community engagement in river care based on two programs that have been implemented in Malaysia between 2012 and 2020. So these two programs are River of Life Public Outreach Program, or in short, they call it ROLPOP, and River Tree River Conservation, Protection and Rehabilitation Program, River Tree River CPR. ROLPOP was initiated by the Department of Drainage and Irrigation, Malaysia, or we call it DID in short, and ran from 2012 to 2020. Whereas River Tree River CPR was created by Kennedy himself and commenced on the 17th of August 2018. So, and I have also had this pleasure and opportunity to visit River Tree site in Taman Melawati and Mid Valley a few months back. So I must say that it is impressive, especially their weekly Gradu Action program. I let Kennedy explain more about his weekly program, and let me not steal the thunder and pass the session over to Kennedy. So over to you, Kennedy.
Thank you. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Irina, for inviting us. Thank you, KAED IIUM, for inviting us to present. I'd first like to say good morning to all the presenters, the host, as well as all the participants. Thank you for making time to follow our program this morning. Mr. Takayuki and Mr. Aichi, thank you very, very much for your presentation. It is amazing, excellent work. I hope that we can continue our conversation because there's a lot that we can learn from you. It is very, very impressive. So we have 20 minutes. I'm going to go straight into it. And let me know if everyone can see the screen when I share. Here we go. So the screen is visible. Yes, okay, good. So we'll start. I've got a couple of videos and some notes. I've also tried to do some Japanese translation, but I think it's probably mangled. So apologies in advance for any mistakes or shortcomings or anything that is wrong. So here we go. First, we'd like to present our organization, the Alliance of River Tree, which is hosting the River Tree program through two initiatives on ground, which is Friends of Sungai Kelang Taman Melawati River Tree, as well as Friends of Sungai Kelang Mid Valley River Tree. So this is who we are in brief. And this is what we do: River Conservation, Protection and Rehabilitation, or River CPR program, where we build amenities, communities, and economy through an approach we call Gotong Royong Education by Action, or in short, Gradu Action. It's actually more correct to say that this was coined between, all of this work was done between Haji Mansur and myself. When we first met, it was the 24th of July 2018. Haji Mansur had come to our regular river site, which was at that time a ROLPOP site, where not a lot was happening. There were 3 existing trails, but the trails weren't really looked after. There was a JPS automated water quality monitoring station there, but it was also not really looked after. And Haji Mansur had begun his initiative with Friends of Langat River a couple of years back, and he had said to himself, I should really do something in my own backyard. And he lives not very far from the river. He grew up around this area as well. So he showed up together with the Society of Eco-Greater Malawati at that time and Dr. Salma Zakaria. We all met on that Tuesday and we decided, okay, this weekend we'll start. We didn't really have a plan per se at that time. It was just, let's do something here. Let's clean up the river. Let's uncover the trail. And what would happen every week is that we would have conversations. Haji Mansur and I would have conversations after the Gotong Royong activity. And it was through all these conversations that River Tree developed. The idea for the three parts, humanities, communities, and economy. The idea for Gotong Royong education by action came out of conversations that we used to have. So sometimes the best way to talk about what you're doing is to let someone else do the talking. So here is the Thai PBS World talking about what we do on episode 9 of the ASEAN Waste Crisis in November 7th of 2019. Play you a little video.
กลังแม่น้ำสายสำคัญที่ไหลผ่านหลากชีวิตหลายวัฒนธรรมเปรียบเสมือนเส้นเลือดใหญ่ของกัวลาลัมเปอร์ที่กำลังแปดเปื้อนดิฉันอยู่ที่กรุงกัวลาลัมเปอร์ประเทศมาเลเซีย Friends of สุไหงกลัง River 3 ทามานเมืองลาวตี and Mid Valley เป็นการรวมตัวกันของอาสาสมัครทุกเพศทุกวัยแต่มีใจเดียวกันค่ะนั่นคือการทำให้แม่น้ำปลอดขยะและมลพิษพวกเขาใช้ช่วงวันหยุดสุดสัปดาห์ทำกิจกรรมอนุรักษ์แม่น้ำกลังเส้นเลือดสายหลักที่ไหลผ่านกลางกรุงกัวลาลัมเปอร์เมืองหลวงของมาเลเซียโกตองโรยองหรือความร่วมมือในชุมชนนับเป็นคำจำกัดความที่สะท้อนถึงกิจกรรมที่ทำอย่างต่อเนื่องมามากกว่า50สัปดาห์แล้วได้เป็นอย่างดีค่ะจากความร่วมไม้ร่วมมือของอาสาสมัครทั้งหน้าเก่าหน้าใหม่ที่สลับสับเปลี่ยนมาร่วมกิจกรรมกันไม่ขาดสายอามาบินอาสลานนักศึกษามหาวิทยาลัยซึ่งเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมนี้เป็นครั้งที่2แล้วบอกว่าการมาเป็นอาสาสมัครแบบนี้เป็นการเปิดประสบการณ์ใหม่และได้ใช้เวลาว่างให้เป็นประโยชน์ต่อสังคม
I never knew this place exists because I only see Klang River in the city like in Masjid Jamik until my mom brought me to this place so I was like oh this place is very beautiful so I think I just found a new place I just discovered a new place in this country
พื้นที่ริมแม่น้ำบริเวณนี้ถือเป็นต้นน้ำของแม่น้ำกลางในเขตทามานเมืองลาวตีซึ่งแตกต่างจากแม่น้ำในเมืองอย่างเห็นได้ชัดค่ะไม่ว่าจะเป็นสภาพแวดล้อมทางธรรมชาติความเงียบสงบและปราศจากมลพิษทางเดินริมแม่น้ำกลางเส้นนี้นะคะถือเป็นส่วนหนึ่งในโครงการเพื่อพัฒนาแล้วก็ทำความสะอาดแม่น้ำค่ะซึ่งแนวคิดหลักของกลุ่มนี้เนี่ยเขามองว่าการทำให้พื้นที่บริเวณนี้สะอาดแล้วก็ปลอดภัยสำหรับทุกคนจะทำให้ผู้คนเนี่ยมาใช้พื้นที่ในบริเวณนี้ทำกิจกรรมต่างๆค่ะและการทำแบบนี้เองเนี่ยจะช่วยทำให้คนเล็งเห็นถึงความสะอาดความสำคัญของแม่น้ำสายนี้แล้วก็หันมาอนุรักษ์มันมากขึ้นค่ะกลุ่มอาสาสมัครตั้งเป้าสร้างทางเดินเส้นนี้เป็นระยะทางยาวขึ้นไปถึงบริเวณต้นน้ำซึ่งไกลออกไปประมาณ3กิโลเมตรให้เสร็จภายในปีหน้าค่ะเพื่อให้ผู้คนได้ดื่มด่ำกับความงดงามของแม่น้ำสายนี้ได้อย่างเต็มที่เคนเนดีไมเคิลผู้ร่วมก่อตั้งกลุ่มเฉพาะกิจเพื่อพิทักษ์สิ่งแวดล้อมกลุ่มนี้พาทีมข่าวไทย PBS ลงสำรวจพื้นที่ตั้งแต่บริเวณต้นน้ำและอธิบายถึงปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นกับแม่น้ำสายนี้ซึ่งถูกทำร้ายจากพฤติกรรมแย่ๆและความไม่เข้าใจถึงความสำคัญของแม่น้ำของคนบางกลุ่มค่ะ
Normally people come, they do 1 week or once a month or whatever because it's just about picking rubbish. But if I say, hey, we are building a park, you know, and it's exciting, you can design, you can do, then but first we have to clean the rubbish. That, you know, so that's the motivation for why people come. So we've discovered a method where you don't need a lot of money, but you need good reason to come and do this. And the moment somebody comes to the river, suddenly everything makes sense.
การทำให้สาธารณชนได้เข้ามาเห็นปัญหาด้วยตาและมีส่วนร่วมด้วยตัวเองถือเป็นคำตอบที่ดีที่สุดในการผลักดันโครงการนี้ให้สำเร็จเพราะเพียงแค่การเริ่มต้นทำด้วยพลังเล็กๆจากการช่วยกันคนละไม้คนละมือ ก็จะแปรเปลี่ยนเป็นพลังมหาศาลที่จะสามารถเปลี่ยนแปลงโลกร่วมกันได้ในที่สุดค่ะกลางแม่น้ำสาย
So there you go. A quick thank you to Thai PBS World for that feature, and it gives a really good overview of the things that we do here. Now, let me see if I can get to the next slide to share. Hang on a second. Go. And yes. Okay. So this is an explanation about the River Tree program. It's low cost, high impact. It's citizen initiated, led, designed, implemented, built, funded, and owned. We are platformed on the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda 2030, Local Agenda 21, and the UNDP's mainstreaming of biodiversity conservation in river management. It's in another 6 weeks. In another 6 weeks, we will be 3 years, 156 weeks in a row. This last mile is very challenging because of the COVID-19 movement control order restrictions, but we are confident we will continue our unbroken run and prove that it is a sustainable and successful program. We also very heavily use science, technology, arts, maths, and engineering, or STEAM, as well as take nature-based approaches. And well, most interesting of all is the graduation method, which is the whole topic of today about education in for the Sustainable Development Goals. I don't know if this is just gibberish or if it's an accurate translation, but yeah. So our objectives are to restore the Class 1 river water quality from Klangates Dam to Finas, which is approximately, give or take, 5 kilometers. We plan to build as many as possible river tree parks and river tree trails from source to sea, which is from the Klangates Dam to the Klang River estuary. Haji Mansour has this thing, he said, well, probably take one person 100 years to build approximately 120 kilometers of trails from Taman Malawati all the way to Klang. And we talked someone, we figured out a way to actually do it in one day. So maybe soon we will pull off this crazy thing of trying to build 100 kilometers of trails in one day. What's interesting about this is because it's citizen-led, we create community engagement and ownership. So we get the communities to own and manage the park. Earlier, Sensei Tomonobu talked about river managers, which is a really interesting idea because it means there is somebody who cares for the river. Also, because of the Sustainable Development Goals, we work towards creating economic opportunities for individuals and communities. At a low level, it is already taking place. We plan to move it up further. And our biggest part, our biggest work to date, and this is mainly led by Haji Mansour, the co-founder of the River Tree program, is to practice engagement of advocacy with government and placemakers. Also, we want to conserve, protect, and rehabilitate potential potable water sources. The state government has recently announced that they are intending to make Sungai Klang as one of the water sources, water intake sources. So if the upstream where we are is already polluted, it's going to make the task very, very difficult. So our aim is to rehabilitate the river from source, which is in most parts still class 1. And then work our way downstream all the way to Klang. It's a huge challenge, but we figured out the nuts and bolts of doing it. And finally, we want to be a platform for biodiversity conservation, climate action, which is another major area. And then citizen science education, academic research center. We are very pleased to announce that Nur Shidawati, our host, our MC for today, has taken a keen interest in the work that we do from the point of view of social learning, and maybe she will make it part of her research. And also personal responsibility training. This personal responsibility training is about ownership. In Malaysia, unlike in Japan, from what we saw just now, we're very sad to say that Malaysians are generally apathetic. They just don't care. You know, I look at the level of engagement you have in Japan with the mothers group, getting 100,000 people to sign up to a campaign. It's fantastic. We recently pushed a campaign through another organization called Ampang Jaya Rimba Collective on the local draft plan for this municipality. And the feedback was very, very poor. You know, it's something that is a disease, I think, you know, having worked on the ground for a long time. It's a disease that Malaysians have, that it's always somebody else's problem. I'd rather bury my head in the sand. I don't want to know what's going on until it affects them, you know. So there's kind of a selfish motive. So one aspect of the graduate action program is to tap into the human ego. And Sensei Tomonobu also mentioned about empathy and emotion in the approach. And I feel that this is a very powerful thing that we need to tap in, because most of you here are academicians, but as Haji Mansur again says, you know, this subject has been studied to death. Now it's time for action. And when it comes to action, in terms of river rehabilitation, all the problems that are caused by human beings. So the answer is also with human beings. And human beings are more emotional than intellectual. And so that's our base approach. So what is Gotong Royong education by action? You can see here we use the model of building a river trails. Now, Datuk Sri Zaini Ujang, who is the Secretary General of the Water and Environment Ministry, was the person who started the idea of river trails to bring people to the river in order to educate them about the river. So we adopted that model and expanded it. We built a river trail. In Melawati, there was already an existing river trail, as you can see in the background photo in my background. And then we rehabilitated that trail, cleared it, made it accessible, made it feel safe. And then we added the element of beauty through the pollinator garden programs that we did, which attracted people to come. When people started coming, we built communities around these people. And then we got these people to help us to continue to build the River Tree Park. And with that, we build a river economy, and the cycle continues. Within that idea of a River Tree Park are many, many, many things that we are going to practice or are already practicing, as you can see in the circle. So Gotong Royong education action. That's what Graduate Action stands for. We move away from education in the academic sense because you know, all the education, all the academic stuff has been done, and now it's time for action. And you can't do it alone. So Gotong Royong, which is a Malay concept of communities coming together to work together. Actually, I finally figured it out. I think this is what collaboration actually means. Gotong Royong, to collaborate, to come together. Another thing, picking up trash is not a sustainable way to clean rivers. As Haji Mansur says, you know, to clean a river, all you have to do is nothing. By that, he means that if you don't pollute the river will remain clean. So really the work is for us to prevent pollution from entering the river. And that means that the work that we do is education, to educate people about why you shouldn't, why any kind of other effort, like picking up trash from the river, is the absolute last thing to do. It means that in some ways we have failed already. Rivers are self-regulating ecosystems. And if we protect that self-regulating system, then the river will always remain clean. So when we started this program in 2018, it was at first just to clear the trail and pick up trash. And then I hit on this idea that actually it's not sustainable just to, you know, it's not big motivation. Every week you come, you pick up trash, the trash will always be there. Every day people are throwing trash, you know, but if you create a place that needs to be protected, like for example, nobody goes to a mosque or a church and throws rubbish everywhere. So there's a sacredness, there's a reason for this place to be kept clean. Then people tend to respect it and people tend to look after it by and large. And so we decided that we would create a park because it was a way to make something like this more sustainable. And humans have always been attracted to places. Even when we were hunter-gatherers, we always gravitated to places that sustain this. And I'm sure later you will hear from Dr. Nozalifa about this indigenous respect and honor for the sacredness of places and why you must look after it. And I'm looking forward to that as well. Interestingly enough, Dr. Nozalifa and her team behind the mountain. You saw that mountain, those hills in the video just now, and they're just behind, you know, in a straight line, maybe about 3.5 kilometers from us. So what we did was we engaged with a lot of people, and one of them was a town planner, and we got them to help us develop an idea for a river tree park. As you can see, they mapped it out for us like this, and this becomes the blueprint for how we move forward. But this is just the placemaking aspect of it. So now a little bit about the two groups, Taman Melawati River Tree and Mid Valley River Tree. So here's a little video. I can't remember who, I think it was Xuan who put this together. Xuan is our co-founder. And I'm also very pleased to say that one aspect of our work supports the Sustainable Development Goal, in that we have many women in our team who are not just followers, many women who are leaders, who are bedrock to what we do. And so that's Salina Hussein, Xuan To, and also Shaylee Hing. And I hope they're here watching today. So there you go with that. Let's get to the rest of the program that we have. So this is the other side. This is Mid Valley, the same river, but midstream. And this is a short video produced by Friends of Klang River Basin, of which Professor Ma'an is a committee member, for their community sharing series, episode 5. I would like to say a special thanks to Puan Sharifah Nur Zulaika Syed Otsman for putting this video together. And there you have it, a little bit about Friends of Sungai Klang Mid-Valley River Tree. Same river, midstream, slightly different approach, but same program that we are using. On to where we are now, we have a number of chapters in Melawati itself. We have the Riverview Kemansa chapter, the Hillside chapter, Nadayu 62 chapter, Zone N chapter, as well as the Glimpse of Malaysia chapters. So these are different communities within the same area who are taking care of particular stretches of the river in Taman Melawati. We also have our sister chapter, Mid-Valley River Tree, and then through our friend Bezen Kang, who was inspired by the work that we were doing at Mid-Valley, went out and set up Sahabat and Community Pencinta Sungai Perak. We are also pleased to announce that hopefully soon we will be starting 2 more chapters, which is Taman Halimatun, as well as Kota Kemuning, also on the same river. So the idea of starting up these chapters is to educate people, to educate local communities, and to empower them to take ownership. And while we provide the framework of River 3, because we feel it is the most sustainable way forward, they have to make individual or personal decisions about how they want to own the place, how they want to manage the place, how they want to rehabilitate the rivers, and how they want to teach the community to protect the things and work that they're doing. We've come to the end of our program because it talks mostly about education. So before I go into the thank yous, I would like to say that we've discovered that the days of books and pamphlets and leaflets and stuff like that is over, which is why we created the graduate action method. I think in an old culture like Japan, where there is a master and an apprentice, the idea of teaching and learning is through observation, which means people have to cultivate patience, people have to be aware of what's around them, and people have to focus on the things that are in front of them in order to learn. It's behavior modeling. So people learn, and it's a very basic thing that even animals have, and also young children have. They follow their parents, they copy, they model their behavior, what they see. So we, as the people who are carrying this program or leading this program, we become behavior models. And so it is incumbent on us that we are consistent, which is another thing that Haji Manso always reminds everyone, that even if one person shows up every week, you keep that consistency, and it teaches you to have a personal discipline, and your behavior then becomes a model for people to follow, and that's how they learn. It's one of the most powerful ways, because we've had all these videos, Instagram. I mean, we have people who are influencers on Instagram who are supposedly environmentalists, and then I always turn around and say, hey, you have 1 million followers. I don't see 1 million people around me volunteering. Where are they? So we tend to take these shortcuts thinking that, yes, all this stuff works, but actually real work comes from presence, and real work comes from action, from actually doing something. Even the smallest things that you do is most powerful. And what we're trying to get people to do is to do things that they like. For example, some people like to plant. Some people like to plant flowers, some people like to plant fruits, some people like to plant vegetables. And whenever they go to a place and start planting, the first thing they're going to do is say, oh, why is this place so dirty? I should clean it up. And the very action of picking up, say, a straw or a plastic bag, after the 10th time of picking it up, you're going to realize, like, what kind of behavior is this? I should talk to people. I should talk to other people. I should change myself. So this idea of graduate action as behavior modeling is a very important aspect of what we do. And we feel that the more that we can model the behavior that we want people to follow, the more they have a yardstick to which to measure themselves and to follow. If we set the standards very low, if we set the bar very low, as you can see around you, then it will always remain very low and very little change will happen. all this work that we do, it's not me. A lot of people say, yeah, Kennedy does this, Kennedy does that. But I would like just to take this last few minutes, this last minute actually, to thank the following people because they played a huge part in it. I come from an Afro-Brazilian tradition. You will see at the bottom, it says muito arigato. And it's something that we coined in the world of capoeira, which I belong to. Muito means a lot, and arigato in Japanese is thank you. So muito arigato to all the following people. Primarily, it's Dr. K. Kalitasan and the Global Environment Center, which have been our biggest supporters. Although we run 2 different programs, but friendship, which was talked about by Thai PBS just now, is what gets us going. Of course, special thanks to Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran, Lembaga Urus Air Selangor, which is the state water authority. They also have a committee, Jawatan Kuasa Pelaksana Pemeliharaan Sungai-Sungai Negeri Selangor. Our state assembly person, YB Haji Sari Sungip, Azhari Abdul Taharim, who is the chairman of the Residents Association. Because we're not a registered society, we depend on them to handle all the funding and stuff. We don't want to be a registered society. We're just friends who are passionate about what we do, but we have support from organizations in the vicinity who help us. Asuka Mishima, who heads the Community Penduduk Taman Melawati Facebook page, which is a big platform for our outreach. Dr. Jamie Chong from Asia Pacific Environmental Consultants by PBS World. Dr. Juwaria Ho from Iktisas Planners, who is our close collaborator. Our biggest volunteer supporters, Sunway Student Volunteers, the Society of Eco Greater Melawati, the Rotary Club of Melawati, our local Balai Police. So, during the movement control order, we are not allowed to go out, we're not allowed to do certain things, people have to stay home. But because of the close collaboration we have, they have given us permission to carefully continue our weekly activities. So building relationships is a big part, and engaging with all the stakeholders has produced a very good result for us. I will go and just let you see very quickly all the people that we have to thank. There's a lot of people. This last group of people, they're the core team. So it's not just me, it's all these people, Haji Manso, Shwen, Salina, Cikgu Hao, Mr. Yu, Azmir and friends, Abang Zul Kap Baiti, Colonel Charlie Wong, who is actually 78 and the oldest resident, the first person to move to the Taman Melawati area, who's still actively participating with us, Muhammad Kidir from Luas, Shakira Apis and friends from Hillside, Haji Wazir and friends from Zone N, Shaylee Hing, Gabriel, Kaina, the Iron Snowflakes, both at Mid Valley and River Tree, UCSI University, Iris, Shamrin, Friends of Rivers Malaysia, the 2 companies that support a lot of our work. This part is, okay, you do stuff, people give you awards, it's useful, and that's the end of my presentation for today. Thank you very much. I will stop sharing. There you go. Can't hear you, Sheila.
Thank you, Kennedy, for an insightful and interesting sharing session. I have to agree with Kennedy about having the sense of purpose. So maybe I can share a saying from Simon Sinek in his book entitled "Start with Why." When we start an initiative, be it a business or an activity, when we start telling people what
do you want to play? When do you want to play?
May not the same result or impact when we tell them why we are doing it. So the sense of purpose is very important in order to drive community action and participation. And also, if you don't mind me sharing your secret recipe, Kennedy, one of the key point that Kennedy shares with me is that consistency is something that they take pride on when it comes to their ongoing Gotong Royong or Graduate Action Program. So regardless rain or shine or festivities, their program continues weekly. So, okay, without further ado, we shall continue the next slot. And we have also another exciting and experience sharing by Assistant Professor Nol Zarifa Zainal Abidin, a lecturer also from Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design. Dr. Nur Zalifa is also founder and advisor of Jungle School Gombak, Malaysia. And she is the leader of IIUM Jungle School Initiative Flagship. In her presentation entitled The Importance of Balancing the Natural Environment Towards the Care for the River, the Indigenous Orang Asli Experience, Dr. Nur Zalifa will focus on the importance of the natural environment, the jungles and the water system, like river and coastal area to the indigenous people of Orang Asli and Orang Asal in Malaysia. And I have also had the pleasure to go through or experience her program back when I was still working in one of the NGOs. And I would say that it's also a commendable effort what Dr. Nur Zalifa and also her husband is doing. Congrats to you, and over to you, Dr. Nur Zalifa.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me in this second talk of ESD under the Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design, IIUM. I'm glad that we do this sharing together with our Japanese counterparts and also the River Tree and my colleagues. So I'm going to share you the screen now. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is why we need a balance between the natural environment. We are not just talking about the river, but we also need to have a kind of understanding of the biodiversity of our natural environment. And this will link up to the indigenous people, Orang Asli, also Orang Asal in Sabah and Sarawak. But I will do the sharing here together. So we go to so these are the current scenario. You can see the contrast between what is happening around the world, and we can actually see on the right side, we can actually see in Malaysia, we do have beautiful waterfalls. In Gombak area alone, we have about 18 to 20 hidden waterfalls, which Orang Asli do not want to share because they feel that when people entering the area, then the rivers start to get polluted, or even the jungles. So these are the current scenario. Why is it important for us to care for the river, to care for the natural environment, and to care for our jungles? This is a set of a living environment, especially towards the indigenous people. This is their lifestyle. They've been practicing, and most of their kampungs and villages is actually near the water system because it is part of their daily life. They need the water to live, and these are the sets of activities that they do next to the river, and because their villages is actually set up within the jungles as well as the rivers. So if you see here, I'm going to show you, this is a set of setting which is happening now in Gombak. We do have accidents within the area, the old Gombak Road, and we do have illegal dumpings happening. But what Jungle School is doing now, we are working together with the Orang Asli and the local authorities to counter attack, or to get the illegal dumpers not to dump the rubbish around this area. But we do have these sets of cars crash within the area, and now we are working closely with Majlis Perbandaran as well as LUAS, Lembaga Air Selangor, in order to counter, with the help of our NGO as well as of course IIUM is playing a major role as well. So why we need to balance the ecosystem, the current states of our river systems as shown by our colleagues earlier. Some people do not care. Why do they need to care about the river system? It's nothing to do with them, and they do not understand why the ecosystem is important for us to create balance. So if you see here, this is the things which is important. We need to understand the biodiversity, how the actions by the humans or the people who are living around the area is affecting. I think we are now suffering on the COVID pandemic system, whereby we also encounter the climate change. And if you see here, all these important things is actually affecting, especially on the indigenous people, the orang asli. They are affected because of the overdevelopment and the illegal, irresponsible people who start to come and polluted the river around the system, as well as the jungle. So you can see it becomes a threatened when we start not to care, and you can see how the climate is affected. Some of the species of the animals and even the plants and trees. I think Gombak, we have lots of species, and it is now being recorded. We are working together with University Malaya, the Faculty of Science, whereby they are also recording the species of the different fish and the animals and the insects within the jungles of Gombak, and they have lots and lots of research that they have done, and we are working closely together with IIUM as well, of course, because IIUM is the one giving the volunteers coming in and caring for the river, working together with the orang asli. So if you see here, we have habitat loss. We have now some of us are suffering on invasive species, whereby we get the monkeys coming out from the jungles going into the campus or even the living quarters of people, and now we have like the animals versus conflicting with the humans. So we have to coexist. So to do that, we have to understand the biodiversity. Why is it important for us to care for the river? And I think the orang asli, they have been practicing their traditional environmental knowledge, whereby they are actually sustaining the jungles and they are sustaining the water resources from the water system, the river system. Okay, we have problems on deforestation. I think it's happening around the world. And when we have irresponsible parties, whereby they are not concerned on taking care of the development, then it comes to start to affect the water system and the river system. So I think this one, Dr. Ma'an will be explaining, Dr. Irina and Dr. Ma'an will be explaining a lot more, but it's happening now where we have overdevelopment. It's started to affect our river system as well as the jungle system. So it is affecting us. I think we have to be concerned because all the water river system is very, very important to provide the clean water for all of us. So these are the beautiful indigenous people. They are living in the jungles, and I think not many people really actually know them. People make assumptions, but they are actually, their livelihood, they have been thousands of years, they have been spending their time in the jungle and taking care of the river. So these are the beautiful different tribes of orang asli. Okay, you can see orang asli villages in the West Malaysia. We have about more than, it's around 853 at different states of Malaysia in the peninsula. And you can actually see on the right side, the river system goes with the sets of jungles. So it is important to create a balance. And you can see most of the villages is actually alongside within the range of the river system and the water system. Even some of the orang asli, they are now suffering on the overdevelopment at the coastal area as well. So these are the sets of challenges that the orang asli and the indigenous people are suffering. Okay, we can see here there are about 18 ethnic groups in Peninsular Malaysia. We have, I think in Selangor, we have mostly they are in Temuan and Mahmeri, but fortunately, we have about 10 tribes living together in Gombak area. I think this is due during the British, the orang asli, because they are the one helping us to obtain our independence. So you can see the distribution of the different ethnic groups around in West Malaysia. They are living within the jungles and near to the river and water system. So this is about us. Of course, we have our Jungle School Gombak is actually linking to IUM Jungle School Initiative. I'm the flagship leader in IUM, and I'm also the founder of Jungle School Gombak together with my husband, Major Kalampi. His ancestors is from Semelai tribe. Okay, what we do back in 2011, we created this master planning. This meant for 15 years, and we keep on doing it in the long term and short term. So we have different phases. To us, the phase one, education and awareness, is very important, and it's not just about cleaning the river, it's not just about taking care of the jungle, but we have to make sure that we can address some issues of poverty among the orang asli, the indigenous themselves. So we created these phases. The idea of having the master planning is we have a discussion with the orang asli themselves, and they feel that they want to contribute to the nation. So the way they want to do it is like they want to maintain and retain the cultural heritage, but at the same time creating more awareness and educating the others about how to actually coexist with the nature and how to understand and have more knowledge about the biodiversity and the action of the human in taking care of the nature. So on the phase 3, I have set up the jungle schools whereby the orang asli themselves are the facilitator. People are learning from the orang asli themselves. And these are the kind of supports and activities that we do every year, every month, and every week. But we have our challenges in the MCO right now, but the orang asli themselves is doing their, taking care of their jungles and reporting us about the illegal dumping and all. So, so here, these are the objectives. We want to empower the orang asli so that they can continue to care for the jungles and the river, and we create a training teams among the IUM staff, students, as well as volunteers. We do have volunteers from the public, from the NGO, from the corporate people. We do collaboration, a lot of collaboration with the all parties, with the local authorities, of course, with JACWA and the government sectors. So when we create jungle schools, it's about to showcase the experiences of the knowledge of orang asli. We discussed with the orang asli in Gombak, and they are glad that we want to get them to showcase because the elderly are now very, very concerned about their youngsters, whereby their youngsters are lacking of knowledge of their traditional environmental knowledge, and they feel that it has to be continued, because it is their identity, it is importance to sustain their cultural heritage. And this is so later on I will show you some videos as well, things that we have done so far since 2011. This is our formation of idea. 2011 we discuss and interview and consult the orang asli community in Gombak. And then we set up the social media on the jungle school, on the Facebook, and doing some social media marketing on what we are doing together with the orang asli in 2014. And 2018, what we did, we do a Malaysia Book of Record, whereby one of the traditional products that orang asli is doing, which is kerchang puzzle. It is made out of rotan. We make as a Malaysia the largest giant kerchang puzzle. So in 2019, we are being invited, Jungle School Gombak Malaysia was invited by IUM management to do a flagship project, and this is a continuity and a great support from IUM management. Thank you to our rector, Tan Sri Zulkifli, for supporting our flagship project. In 2020, we do a lot more collaborative effort, and I think during the pandemic, we have submitted our works in one of the innovation competition, and Alhamdulillah, we managed to obtain some international awards. And okay, the important facts about orang asli. we discovered that in Gombak, we do have our UNESCO best rivers in Southeast Asia. They have made this Apo Bujam. It's a container made out of mengkuang, which is one of the local plants within the Gombak area, and they have made a beautiful bujam. The container is meant for them to put the sirih. When they are going into the jungle, they want to eat the sirih. They will put that as their container. So they have beautiful talents, many traditional arts and craft in relation making use of the local materials in the jungles, and it's very important to them because it is their culture and heritage and their livelihood. And the important facts here, if you can see here, we managed to get a report on the DNA report by Professor Zafarina in University Science Malaysia in Penang. And she has shared with us back in 2016. She has made a very scientific research on whereby the Batik people who are living in Kelantan, Terengganu, and Pahang, they are the oldest living DNA in the world. It is, if you see here, you can see the Batik people. The green dots here is the Batik people. Now they are mostly in Pahang. This is their discovery on the DNA, and we can see here. This is the red circle is actually indicating the other tribes of orang asli, and you can see here they are much more older than the Aborigines in Australia. So this is an important fact, scientific data. This is the way we do things. What we do when we create the Malaysia Board of Records of the Kerchang, we work together with the Ministry of Tourism to gazette the Kerchang as our national heritage. So we are at the stage of working together with the government agencies to get acknowledgement and of the sets of traditional arts and craft of the orang asli. So this is our way, the way IUM is supporting. We are doing a lot more educating awareness and creating showcases. We do it in the IUM and even outside IUM. So we have our medias in support to record and obtain and have more information of what Jungle School is doing, and we have submitted also the video for the UNESCO. I think Jabatan Warisan Negara, they have submitted Kerchang as part of the UNESCO heritage showcase. Okay, Alhamdulillah, I think back in 2020, we submitted the Edu-Tourism Jungle School as an innovation for Edu-Tourism products, and we obtained in Canada the Gold Medal Award, Special Award, and the Committee Choice Award, because we have shared the 10 years of our effort and with the orang asli themselves. So we also be acknowledged for the Malaysia Award for the Green Project Management Award last year, and I just recently received the certification this year because of the MCO. We have a session later on. This is the effort that we have done. This is the sets of competition that we do, and I would like to share with you our video that we have submitted to Canada.
Really understand until you actually see it coming at you in a wall of flame.
Dr. Zarifa, are you sharing your screen? Dr. Zarifa, are you with us?
I think we lost her.
Okay. Shall we wait for her? Dr. Irina, shall we wait for her, or we can move to the next presentation?
How about the time right now?
We have, I think we are behind time, 10 to 15 minutes behind time. So, shall we wait?
Yeah. Shall we wait Dr. Maan perhaps, because we are already late? Or how is it, Dr. Zarifa?
Okay, I will do the sharing later on.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I will do the sharing of the video later on. I will proceed with the.
We are late. The time is over. Times, yeah, Dr. Zarifa. We are behind the times, 10 to 15 minutes. So can we continue to Dr. Maan? And
yeah,
the video on the chat box.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me just quickly run through the slides. We have the UNESCO report been whereby Jungle School have actually managed to address us as the good practices for the indigenous people. This is the link that later on I will share to you on the link. And we want to give just a showcase of what we have done so far. I think from time to time, we have visitors coming in to understand on the jungle. We experience interpretation walk trails with the Orang Asli.
Dr. Zarifa, are you still with us?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We already late, right?
Okay, I think we've lost her. So shall we move to the next presenter, Dr. Irina?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Dr. Maan, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let me just introduce you. Apologies, everyone. Dr. Zarifa is experiencing some technical glitches from her side. So I think she's agreed to provide the link to the video later. What we're going to do now is that we're going to continue with Dr. Maan's presentation. Let me just.
I will share the link in the chat.
Oh, yes, you're back, Dr. Zarifa. Yes, could you please share the link? Yeah.
Okay.
So we are just going to continue with the slot 4, which is Dr. Maan. So our next speaker is Dr. Maan Al-Khatib. Is professor at Kuliah of Engineering, International Islamic University, Malaysia. So he is also the chairman of IIUM River of Life flagship project. He is also the founder and chairman of Friends of Sungai Pusu and co-founder and assistant secretary of Friends of Klang River Basin, FOKBR in short. Both programs are aimed at stimulating the communities, association and individuals to cultivate the sense of belonging on the river and environment. So Dr. Maan will be sharing his insight on Pusu River or Sungai Pusu in Malay, which runs through our campus, our International Islamic University Malaysia main campus in Gombak. The campus is bordered by hilly terrain, and the university covers an area of 710 acres, and the total catchment area of Pusu River at the downstream is about 12 kilometers square. So Dr. Ma'an's presentation will shed light on the current conditions of Pusu River and efforts taken to rehabilitate the river. So without further ado, Dr. Ma'an, the session is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sister Shida. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. I'm very pleased to be here with all of you, sharing our experiences with our local counterparts and also our colleagues from Japan. Let me just share my screen. And as I'm looking for my slides to share with you, Prof. Raza started mentioning about that I will be sharing a sad story of our river. In every sad story, we might also have a good insight somehow. So although our river might, come with this sad story, hopefully that we will be able to also have some positive insights from our story. All right, so just give me a second. Okay. So this is actually the image of our river sometime before, not now. So that's how beautiful it looks, passing through the buildings of our campus. And the theme of our buildings is blue, and it reflects very nicely in the river. However, over time, things have changed. We will be sharing this with you shortly. So the River of Life flagship project is been approved at the university level. And in this flagship project, we aim at achieving or working on these SDGs through not only our flagship, also through collaboration with many other flagship on campus, as well as other organizations within our community and within Malaysia. So it is, this flagship has been initiated by a group of enthusiastic people who care about rivers and who aim to make our rivers healthy and keep them in a good shape. And of course, by tackling all the challenges that we are facing. We have three branches for our River of Life, Ayam River of Life. The main is in Gombak campus, where we are now. And the second one is in Kuantan, which is north to our campus, main campus. And the third one, which is new, which is in Pagoh campus, that is in the south part of the peninsula of Malaysia. And because we believe that achieving our goals is not a one-man show and cannot be done just by our people on campus, we've been working very closely with communities inside on campus as well, like Jungle School is working with us and many other flagships. We are working closely with many government agencies, with private sector and NGOs, and also involving our students and staff and local communities, including the Orang Asli, which Dr. Zalifa is working with very closely, and many schools and institute of higher learnings. Now, what is the current status of our river? This is an overview image of our campus. As you can see, this is the main campus, and these are student hostels where our students reside, and these are places where we have our activities. And the river passes through our campus. And as you can see, things are green somewhere, and they are quite brownish on other locations. So we have the main river, or Sungai Pusu, or the River of Pusu, and we have two arbitraries that are passing the campus. So we have actually 3 of them that are passing through our campus. And this is the catchment area of the river. And as you can see, the rivers that passes through IIUM will meet with the river of Gombak, and the river of Gombak will eventually end at Klang River, which is the main river in our state. This is our campus. As you can see, it's very beautiful campus surrounded by greenery everywhere. And unfortunately, things have changed over the years. So this picture here, as we can see, is around there, right? So this is the upstream of our campus, where the river actually is coming from. And as you can see, there are a lot of works that are taking place, mainly sand mining and other activities, development. And the pictures are very much speaking on themselves. And the arrow that you can see here looks like a football field. Actually, it's not. This is supposed to be a lake, and that lake was used some time ago for our students to do kayaking and sports activities. But over the years, because of the massive works that have been taking place on the upstream, these lakes or ponds have become fully silted and kind of covered totally. So our students are not able to enjoy using them. And these are some of the very recent activities that are taking place where more trees have been removed, and that causes more damage to the river. Right. So this is how the river looks like now, especially when we have heavy rains. It looks very murky and muddy. In Malaysia, we call this tetare, the kind of tea with milk that resembles the river colors now. So this picture has been taken last year on October 2020. And we can see the sediments are being accumulating at the riverbank. And because of this, our campus has been hit twice with floods in 2014, 2017, and a lot of damage has been caused by this in terms of properties. Even our student rooms, hostel rooms have been, flooded with water. This is all because of the silting that is taking place on the river, which has limited its capacity. And when there is heavy rains, as we know, Malaysia is experience these heavy rains in certain seasons, the campus will be victimized by these floods. So these are more pictures of the floods. So what are we trying to do in our flagship? Our areas of action, we have divided it into 4 areas of action. The first one is on community empowerment and education. The second one is on rehabilitation, and the third one is on research, and the fourth one on biodiversity and beautification. So on community empowerment and education, as you can notice here, we are not using community engagement, we use community empowerment. And this is our utmost goal, which we aim that by educating the public, the community within IIUM, or the community around IIUM, is that we will be able to empower them so they will be acting on themselves rather than just waiting for us to initiate activities and involve them in these activities. And of course, rehabilitation, we are trying our best to see how we can rehabilitate the river to its original state, where it is clean, and we revive its biodiversity through planting trees and adding more of to its flora and fauna. And of course, as a university also, we look into research as one of the tools to see how we can address the various issues that we have with the river. I'll focus on today on the community engagement. And for this purpose, we established what we call Friends of Sungai Pusu. Sungai, as mentioned before, refers to river, which is a Malaysian word for river. And until now, this Friends of Rivers is still within IIM community. We are planning to, our plan actually is to involve our neighboring community to be part of this society. However, because of our the pandemic that we've been facing, we have limited access to communities, and therefore we hope that we will be able to initiate this as soon as possible, where we want the neighboring community to be part of this work. And as you can see, these are pictures of the various activities that we had done involving students and staff of the university, even the state government, Selangor state government, and Aspect, GPS, which are private and government institutions. And this is Haji Mansoor here, our friend that Mr. Kennedy was mentioning a few times, and Dr. Kali. This is a picture of meeting for Friends of Klang River Basin, which is working very actively on this matter as well. So these are more of the pictures where we involve students. And as you can see, we are working more on cleaning the mess that is created. And we hope that, like Mr. Kennedy said, we will come to a state that we will stop cleaning because we are not polluting in the first place. However, we have to continue working on this until we achieve our goal and purpose. These are more of the pictures and activities that involve our students and even our management. This is our Honorable Rector, and this is our Honorable Deputy Rector for Academics. So our university management is very closely involved with our activity and supporting them very well. So, and we managed to achieve some awards and over the few years that we've been working on this, and this is to appreciate the effort by the people that have been working very hard on this project. Now, the question that we always try to focus on here is why community empowerment and education. Although academic has been there and there's a lot has been done, but I think we still need, we still want education to be as one of the main tools to come to the point where people act on their own. And that's why we look into community empowerment. So in our activities, what we try to do is we try to go from the few stages from the awareness to knowledge. And so through the awareness, through the social media, through the talks that we organize, and the webinars we had, is to create knowledge on what is actually happening, to create awareness, and from the awareness, people will have that knowledge. And hopefully from this knowledge, we will be able to change the belief that, yes, we have a problem, and I have something to do. It's not just a problem that is next to me or far away from me, so I'm not, I don't have anything to worry about. So that is something that we should be focusing on, to change the belief that this is an issue that might not be touching your neighborhood yet, but soon it will come to us, and we have to take an action. And therefore, we hope that will create a commitment, and that will create a purpose that I need to do something about this. And from there, we hope that by involving the community, and educating them and sharing experiences with them, they will have the skill to act on their behalf, by themselves. So that is where education actually should aim at. It's not just educating the public about what is happening. We educate to the stage where they will be taking an action. And therefore, we are looking very much into moving from engagement to empowerment, from the we act to they act. When I say we act, means all of us here, from Japan, from Malaysia, all these societies and communities which are now acting and trying to get the community to engage with them or to engage with us. We want to reach to a stage where the community start to act on them by themselves. And rather than we go to, like what we do now is we go to certain areas and we start cleaning the river, when we invite the communities which are living by the river to help us or to participate with us. And the moment we go, then they will stop. And then they will have to wait for us to come back again, engage them again. That is where we need to change the mindset. They don't just engage, they act themselves, hoping that next time they will act, they will start the activity and they will call us and say, we are organizing this activity, we would like to have you on board with us. Therefore, all these webinars that we have like today and the one we have organized before are all aims at that particular purpose. So at education level, like at the university level now, what we are doing is we are making this River of Life flagship project as part of the education process, the academic process itself. So as you can see, these are some of the subjects that the students have to take, and they involve with the river directly through these courses. For example, in Kuliah of Engineering, we have the integrated design project where some of the projects will reflect on the issues and the problems that we have with our river. Similarly, with the seminars, the topics that we offer to the students will be related to the rivers and the environment in general. And of course, courses like environmental engineering, environmental law, environmental science. This is another project we are working with UPM, where the students come to our campus to take it as a case study. And many of these funny projects and other courses. So this is actually one way to get the students involved, to get them to change, to have awareness, to change their belief, and to think that they have to do something, so that hopefully when they graduate, they become the ambassadors to rivers and to the environment. So these are some of the project papers that has been performed by the students. So all these are actually funny projects at the Kuliah of Engineering and Kuliah of Law, where, as you can see, it's directly related to the river and to the issues that we have on our campus as well. All right. And as you can see, we relate all these projects to the SDGs. So the students will be aware of the SDGs as they are actually working on these projects. And see, these are some of the research grants that has been secured by some of our colleagues, which are also related to the river pollution that we have on our campus and in general. And this is the networking that I mentioned before. So now on campus, we are working on creating the River Education Hub. And the purpose of having this education hub is very close to the one managed by Mr. Kennedy and his gang, where you want to invite people from IIM community, the students, the staff, as well as the schools around our campus, the neighborhood that is surrounding our campus as well, to come to campus, and from there we can start our education and learning process. And of course, it doesn't start and end by just mere talks and convey information. It is a start where we hope that from there we will start with them on acting on issues related to the rivers. On the rehabilitation, as you can see, we have few ponds. Kolam in Bahasa means pond. So we have few ponds which are actually supposed to be supporting our river to survive all these sediments that come through the water carried on from the upstream. However, these ponds are now themselves are suffering from the very high volume of silt that is received over the years. And we are working closely with the IIM management through development division and our contractor, which is Diaverse, to see how we can clean these ponds so that hopefully by reviving them, they will be able to protect the river from all the sediments that are happening and polluting our river. So these are some of the cleaning activities that we are doing. It's very, very challenging because sometimes we have access problems to the location, to the site. And I hope if our colleagues from Japan have any experiences on such issues, maybe we can discuss and learn from each other and see what we can do to address the challenges that we have. And we also keep monitoring the area and see if there are more activities that taking place on the upstream, which causes more damage to our river. And you can see these areas are being cleared, and definitely they are contributing very aggressively to the pollution of our river. These are some of the activities of enhancing the biodiversity of the rivers, where we in the areas where this is not in our campus, this in Gombak campus, this is in our campus in Kuantan. The river is much cleaner, and alhamdulillah, and but the activities there more is are on the enhancing the biodiversity. So as you can see, our colleagues there, this is Dr. Nazri. He is from College of Medicine. He is not an engineer, but they are actually adding fish to the river. So hopefully that will enhance the biodiversity of the river. So for the sake of time, I will try to just summarize what we have been doing and what we have learned from the Sungai Pusu experience. I think environment is threatened by greed, and I heard the presentation from Dr. Moro and Ichi. I hope I have pronounced the names correctly when they talk about Japan was a economic bubble, and the many projects were coming along. One of them is the Gulf project, which is supposed to bring a lot of money, but that will be on the expense of the land and the environment. So definitely our environment is threatened by the greed of making more money. We need a lot of policies to regulate all the activities. Like in our case, the issues come from the sand mining activities, the sand mining activities, and comes from the development where they start new projects to build new housing areas. Now, we need regulations to ensure that these activities are done without harming the environment. And in Malaysia, we have these regulations, but I think we need to work closely with the reinforcing agencies to make sure that these guidelines, policies, and regulations are enforced. And that is very crucial because the projects are ongoing and yet the damage is happening. Therefore, I think there is a missing link between policies and enforcement of these policies. I think combined efforts are very crucial and important to achieve the required goals. And when I say combined efforts, this is from our experience where we have working closely within our own campus. So we are working closely with our agencies within IIUM or the departments within IIUM, which are in charge of taking care of the campus well-being. And the river is one of the main components. So we managed to work together to see how we can address this issue rather than everyone is working on their own silos. So now we are combining our efforts, and also we are combining our efforts with the local agencies, being the NGOs, being the private sector, being the government organizations. And we had few meetings lately, and I hope that there are some positive development that is taking place in that direction. And but of course, sometimes the movement is not as fast as we wish. However, there is some momentum taking place, and we hope that momentum will increase by the days. We believe that empowering communities is very essential because it will help to speed up the recovery process and also to ensure the sustainability of efforts. Because if we just depend on the friends of river and the river rangers to make sure that things are happening, I think that might not really be as sustainable as we want and might not be help us to achieve our goals as fast as we expect. And we've seen the experience from Japan, how in the early 1990s, we have this 100,000 people signing the petition to stop certain projects which might harm the environment. We need that momentum, and we need the public to be initiating these kind of actions and activities to ensure that the environment is protected. And I hope that we are on the right track, and we hope that this will achieve our goals as soon as we wish. And the last point is on the education. I think education is still the key word, and it is still important. And I think we need to start the education the earlier, the better. When I say earlier, means with the younger generation, through the schools, even through the kindergartens. We should start from that level to inculcate the culture of caring for the environment, the culture of being responsible, and the culture of throwing away the selfishness that Kennedy was talking about. We need that, very important. But when we talk about education here, again, we are not talking about information. We're not talking about just sharing information. We don't want just to share information. Now, I think with social media and the internet and the massive data, the big data that we are all facing now, I think information is not an issue. What we want is to act. Therefore, education should result in change of attitude. When we educate people, the attitude is not changed, I don't think we have achieved our goal from education. This is where in IIUM we are involving our students at different levels with many courses, being at the university level courses or even at the specialized courses like in engineering or law or architecture or Islamic studies. We get the students involved, hoping that this will help not only to give them the awareness, but also to change their attitude towards the issues that we have, where they will be acting by themselves rather than waiting for people to call them for act. This is my sharing with you. I try to make it fast for the sake of time because I know that we have passed the time already. We are behind time. So maybe later on with question and answers, and hopefully we can have more discussions with our counterparts from Japan. We will learn more about our experiences. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Maan. I'm hearing a lot of mention about the importance of education in order to create awareness. So clearly, when it comes to community development and empowerment, it's not the initiative of one person or organization. It takes a village to raise a child, and the same goes when developing and empowering communities. So without further ado, I am going to pass the session over to Dr. Irina Safitri Zen, who's going to be sharing her talk on future of Pusu River, regional perspective towards nature-based solution. Dr. Irina, the session is yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sida. My mic is on, eh?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Dr. Irina.
Okay. Yeah, so since we are a bit lack of time, and then Dr. Hiroko need to go also like another 20 minutes, so maybe I have to shorten my presentation before the summarization. And thank you very much for the excellent presentation from the previous speakers. So my presentation will focus on the not on the local specific the issue itself, yes, but then try to give bigger perspective on how hopefully we will provide more reason how we can sustain our Pusu River in the context of as part of the Gombak sub-river basin and the Klang basin, on how is this area is actually part of the environmental sensitive area under the National Physical Plan for Malaysia 2020 NPP2 and also currently NPP3 2015 to 2020. And we have also our Klang parts which is actually our germ in this area that have also provide more strong reasons and also as a Klang Gates Dam to supply the water to Klang Valley peoples. And there are also Selangor State Park that already gazetted this area, our upstream Pusu River that was siltation in IUM. That is another gazettement that give us a reason. And of course, despite the challenge on the second part, my presentation will focus on the potential solution on how is ecological restoration and nature-based solution might help we as part of the co-actors or collaborator actors to think about what is the future for the Pusu River and the surrounding regions. And also for the possible of the UNESCO Global Geopark. That also I heard from Mr. Kennedy that the Klang Fortress also received the World Heritage Site status recently. Yeah, this is also another good reason for us to strengthen our effort on provide the justification to solve our problems. Yeah. So I would like to repeat the same story by Dr. Ma'an, already provide a very good coverage on our problems. And this is from the challenge of our river, Pusu River problem in the upstream that caused the problems in our downstream in IUM itself that have flash flood in 2014-17. And if you look at on the historical aerial view from 2007, 2010, 2014, and 2019, definitely there is a desertification refer to the process of fertile land transforming. Yeah, this size because of the deforestation in this area. So it's getting bigger with the area with this brownish colors. Yeah, despite compared to the forest type cover in this area. And then the other one, the more important thing is this upstream destruction of this upstream development is also already close to the Klang Gates, the dam. It says that supposed to be protected and is prohibited to have this kind of activity, especially in the upstream part of this Pusu River. So this is already another encroachment that we have, and it's a serious problem that we face actually. And then if I can bring your attention into more bigger perspectives in the bigger close on the Sungai Klang Basin itself. This is the Klang River basins. If you look at the Pusu River, it's also part of the Gombak sub-river basin. And to tackling this problem, of course, we need collaboration with various actors, and it's not only IUM itself. And we are glad to see that we are also together with our friends of Sungai Klang in Taman Melawati, and this is our area that we are discussed right now. And again, from this upstream development, desertifications, and then close to the Klang Gates Dam, this is the IUM, which is why we need to have this regional perspective. The other concern is because this upstream development that causes siltation is also bringing to the other disasters, potential disasters in the future. We are just right here down there. That will be another challenge for us on how to stabilize this area. That is the core problem of this upstream development. And the other issues is about the land status that is belongs to the private land. That we might also question on how this the Majelis Perbandaran Selayang have this kind of the approval. That is another story for this issue. And if I can share with you that we already have this gazettement of the environmental sensitive area under the NPP, National Physical NPP2. So if you look at here, this area is definitely under the ESA, and they have 3 categories of ESA and then 10 categories of ESA. So since the upstream development of upstream area of the Kusu River itself rich in terms of biological diversity, for information, we are adjacent to the Klang Quart Ridge, which have a status of the Selangor State Parks and a forest reserve status. And they are also the catchment area, wildlife protection. They have a list of the endangered species, endemic species in that area. They are also one of the rivers, of course, part of the Klang Basin and Sub-Gombak River Basin. Permanent forest reserve, and also we have magnificent geological and landscape of part which serve as a potential of park. Yeah, and a bit about the fact of the Klang Gates Dam itself is very, very dangerous and crucial. Why we need to highlight this point also, because this provides the water for the Klang Valley. For example, during the 2014 water crisis, the drop of the Klang Gates Dam water up to 54% is affect the water supply to the Klang Valley. So this is also another issue on the climate change, and then deforestation for the forest around the Klang Gates dams is also affect the stability of this area. And under the 3 rank of ESA, as I mentioned from the beginning, this area is definitely under this 3 type of ESA rank 1, 2, 3, and that is provide a strong reason for if we want to fight for this area that should supposed to be not to have this development. And this is also as part of the ESA on the biodiversity. If you look at on the reach of the biodiversity in this area, is at least is home for 265 plant species, and they have endemic plant and also this Sumatran Seru. And for the Klang Gates Quarters itself is famous for the hiking peoples. Yeah, is actually already have over millions years old, and then behind the ridges we have this Gombak Forest Reserve, and it's just stated as a state park, forest reserve state park. So this is definitely under specific law gazettement. So it's not easy for us. In fact, the example from the Taman Melawati Residential Association for the recent rail development, that is another good example on how its community actions. Yeah? And this is a bit about the Klang Quart Ridge. It's the longest actually quart ridge, 60 meters, yeah, in the world, and is 1997 feet. And then we have a very good view from this quart ridge. That is another assets, yeah, another values that we need to preserve for this area. And of course, as part of the National Physical Structure 3, is already stated that the goal is to achieve the resilient and livable nation is the after the year of 2020. There are 3 main components that need to be stabilized for managing this regional of this upstream development in the, and also the Klang Gates Dam and also the Klang Quart Ridge, and surrounding this area is part of the spatial sustainability and climate change resilience for the resource management plan, and also the spatial growth framework plan. And this is also the natural disaster risk area. If you look at this color, it shows already that we are actually part of this National Physical Structure 3 that we need to, the development need to have follow this NPP 3 that provided by the federal government. And if you look at part of this, the Central Forest Fine is also another reason why we need to preserve this area. Yeah, and according to the forest area and classification, yes, the permanent forest reserve. This is part of this Selangor, Ulu Selangor in Gombak area, and this protected forest is actually that is under protection that is provide another question how this development is happening in this area. And of course, the gazetting the forest reserve is not that easy. So this is the statement that issued by the Selangor state government for the permanent forest reserve status. And then this is another reason on how we can maybe learn from the community action in the Taman Melawati on how they can stop the development of this rail, yeah, that's supposed to be hampers this part reach. And then if a bit on the IUM, the Klangit Dam and the Ulu Gombak Forest, so this is also provide us another reason on how we should work towards this team on to secure and sustain this area. And if you look at the dam for some of the research, of course, there is a declining land use changes towards the forest itself compared to the increasing of the built-up area. If you look at on the foundation data 1988 to 2012, decreasing 34%, but increasing the built-up area up to 22,000 percent changes. Yeah. And now we are coming to the second potential solution that I would like to address as part of this nature-based solution approach is actually the action that is not only one action from the one stakeholder or action from IUM itself, but we need to collaborate together, is to protect the sustainable, manage, and restore natural modified ecosystem that address societal challenge. So this is not only the environmental challenge, but of course is works between the actors also that needs to be actively simultaneously providing human well-being and biodiversity benefit. And this is what our IUM team for the Earth Day 2021, this is trying to highlight that the changes, the nature is actually took place in our IUM from this classic medium, it became the marsh. Yeah? And then we are already identified several unique plant flora, and we are trying to restore back the part of the IUM Gombak bird sanctuary. And the restoration itself is, of course, if I can share with you a bit, the upstream development itself needs to have the collaboration between the green technology, civil engineer, and the botanist, the plant, flora and fauna expertise, and then how we work together to have this activity and to learn from the local also what should be the previous nature of this situation, and then perhaps it help us to restore back our initial functions. Although we may not, we hope that we still have this river along our campus, but then the real situation upstairs is provide us the eye-opening what should be the option for our current situation. And part of this UN decade ecosystem restoration, of course, this is not one night works, but this is a long-term work. And then we need to work together in order to address this issue together with our River of Life, Sungai Klang, and also Sungai Pusu with also the other expertise, academia expert need also work together to find what are the solutions for this area. And then according to several, for this one, we are currently trying to work with this Chinese Science Academy on how is the right ecological restoration technology that might suitable for our area. So these are the potential of the technology that might perhaps provide us as a potential solution. Of course, this is for next further discussion among us. And if I would like to address as well on the NPP3, this is not only addressing this spatial sustainability and climate resilience, we are also need to work with this livable community and the urban-rural dynamic growth. How is we can provide basic service to all citizens? Of course, this is part of this water supply. And then on how the citizen can access to equitable opportunities and have face no discrimination. This is also part of this action and promote measures that support the cleaner cities. This is also on how this IUM works by having our campus as a demo site. And again, sharing to you with the map of the river of life, Pusu River Basin. This is also another chance, another reason for us to work together with various actors under integrated river basin management. And if you can visit this website, they are also under the same theme on this rehabilitation restorations. Yeah. And then allows me also to share some of the nature-based solution that took place in our classic Mariams that is actually dominated by the local species that is actually give us a message that we need to work with the existing natures that already took place, that we might think something else for this area. Restore the local flora and then also the possible several birds that identify this area. And this area is actually part of the Hulu Gombak Forest Reserve and Blanket Wildlife Sanctuary. So we need to have this kind of perspective as well. And this is also another reason why the IUCN is also already acknowledged this area as part of this Wild Animal Protection Act. And allow me to share also, this is the works from the students of Dr. Zalifa on how the university also have played their roles, the student involved on how to have this bird restoration technique as part of this sustainable development courses. And the other multidimensional solution that may strengthen our campus also is by having like food waste composting as part of the circular economy initiative. Green transportation, walking pedestrian pathway, enhancing the green moss photo-saving practice, sustainable food consumption, and low carbon building. So this is part of our climate adaptation and mitigation action. This is part of the NPP3 for the new urban agenda. And this is also part of ROL proposed eco-trail and river education hub is part of how we redefine our relationship with the nature by having this kind of activities. And yeah, the gazettement of Klang gas quarries also is another serious matters that we need to be more strengthened and enhanced on how is this gazettement still not disturbed by other developments. And of course, by having the involvement of this activity from our students, lecturer, and also the community, perhaps can provide more reason on how we preserve this area. I would like to draw your attention also on how this Taman Melawati Residential Association has a community action to stop this proposed KL EKVE highway. Yeah? So this is actually a very good example on how this provide more reason on how to preserve this area actually can help us to stop from this mega development for this area that will damage the Selangor State Park and also the Klang Park Bridge. So congratulations for Taman Melawati Residential Association, headed by this Haji Mansur. I think it's Mr. Kennedy mentioned it many times. Yeah, so we are actually would like to collaborate with you all also because we are now is a neighbor. We are feel better that we are actually not alone in order to fight on what is the right for our area. Yeah, and this is also another potential for Klang Gates Court itself as an eco-geopark reasons. So I would like to share my visit to 2018 in the Huangshan Mountain in China as part of the UNESCO Global Geopark. This is how they maintain this this geo part, yeah, is by providing this like the in the like in on how we are in the in Langkawi, and we have this kind of very friendly and very appreciate the nature. Yeah. But then this is supposed to be on how we might post for the next of this parts reach in order to save this area and promote ecotourism. And then this is also another activity that is to fulfill and to maintain this area under the Global Geopark. We have one in Langkawi, and then we have more, I think, coming up. And then this is also how this community surrounding can also play more role on how to support the existing geopark, perhaps our park risk. Yeah? So this is also another example on how these students also can use this site as part of their educational activities, and that the local community also part of this on 10 day provide various interesting drawings. Yeah? And I hope the last of this video will give you more insight about the plan. Yeah. All right. The video is end my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I share the session with Sida.
Thank you, Dr. Irina. We're going on hyper speed mode now because some of our speakers or Hiroko Sensei may have to leave a little bit earlier. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the session over to Hiroko Sensei to do the summarization and also maybe address some of the questions that the participants may have. Hiroko Sensei, dozo yoroshiku. Onegai shimasu.
Onegai shimasu. Thank you. Am I sharing my slide right?
this
Yes,
okay?
yes, we can see your slides. Yes.
Okay. How about this?
Yes.
Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start. Thank you very much for this precious opportunity. My name is Hiroko Shibakawa, and I am an assistant professor at ESD Promotion Center, Okayama University. Very nice to meet you all, and grateful for listening to all the great stories on the river care today. And I have been working on education for sustainable development for about 20 years. Before, as a high school teacher, and now as a researcher and a coordinator for the local schools and the universities. And I have been trying hard to support the local schools and the teachers to implement ESD. And first of all, some people may not know about ESD in Okayama in general, so let me introduce it briefly. Okayama City is one of the first 7 ESD leading cities certified by the United Nations University since 2005, and the population is about 720,000. Okayama Prefecture is known as a land of fine sunshine because it's mild climate and little rain. And in the context of ESD, Okayama is said to be an advanced city, and its unique approach called Okayama model of ESD is highly evaluated. And first of all, there is the Okayama ESD Promotion Council and the ESD Promotion Division of Okayama City serves as its secretariat to support the efforts financially and educationally. And as part of the Okayama ESD project, local governments and companies, NGOs, and other civil society organizations are involved in the project. And so far, more than 300 organizations are known to have participated in the project. And the Ministry of Education in Japan expects UNESCO-associated schools to serve as a basis for ESD promotion. And I'm sure in Malaysia, you have many of the UNESCO-associated schools too, but I'm not sure about the numbers. So in Okayama, 51 of the city's 130 public elementary and junior high schools are members of UNESCO-associated schools, ranking among the world's top schools in terms of membership. So today's speaker from Okayama, Mr. Muro, has been the leading teacher who promoted and encouraged this association. And thanks to his effort, we have also have a high school network of UNESCO-associated schools in Okayama Prefecture. And I have been working with that network for about 10 years. So the network is also evaluated one of the best practices of ESD in Japan. And as it also contributes to raise the youth and to train pre-service teachers for ESD. This Okayama model of ESD is highly regarded for its holistic approach. And as for the holistic community approach, basically in RCE Okayama, one school district consists of one junior high school and a few or more elementary schools and one kominkan. It's community learning center in English, and which is a social education facility. And when applying for the UNESCO associated schools, we encouraged the school district to implement their unique ESD, focusing on their local issues, for example, disaster prevention and biodiversity and water, or preservation of traditional history or history sites, or cross-cultural understandings, and so on. So today's speaker, another speaker from Okayama, Mr. Eiji Tomonobu, serves as one of the chief members of Kominkan Promotion Division at Okayama City. And Kominkans have been served as a learning platform for solving the issues of the local community. Schools in Okayama in Japan especially since 2000, have been trying to tackle with the local issues or to work with the local community in general. So these two, social education and school education with the support of the local community, company, organization, or university are supposed to work together to proceed ESD project in Okayama. So Okayama model of ESD can be said it's a collection of various ESD projects. So I will show you the pictures of Okayama City and especially the school district, which has been implementing ESD project feverishly. So this is the northern part of the city, and you see they have rich in history and nature, but at the same time, aging population or depopulation or shrinkage in the farm population or local revitalizations are their issues. And this is the southern part of the city, and it has the world's second largest artificial lake, Kojimako, once became the most polluted lake in Japan. So the nearby beach often needs to be cleaned up to protect the environment. So this area has been tackling with the issues on agriculture and waters too. And this is our city central area. And the city central is compact and known for one of the most livable city in Japan. But the area is facing many different sustainability issues, of course. As you can see, each school district has own issues, and ESD project must be corresponding to these issues. So I have raised up and lived in Okayama for the most of my life, and most of my families and parents are from Okayama and lived here for many generations. So my passion goes on to realize the sustainable society through transformation of current education and to develop effective educational practices such as service learning and volunteer activities. So now I would like to make some comments with the viewpoint of ESD and raise some questions to be explored together. So at the core of ESD pedagogy, there is a learning to transform oneself and society, mentioned by UNESCO 2009. And I believe that transformative learning emerges in the democratic and transformative practice. And this democratic education, not just to promote participation in the community, but to make these communities interact with others fully and freely is the key word for ESD. So to be honest, before I do collaborative research with Dr. Irina, I did not have much chance to work on something specifically related to the rivers. So this time it made me think why we need to care about rivers as ESD. And of course, I knew civilization always emerged along the rivers, and ESD is to critically rethink our civilization. So I again consider the river as crucial element in terms of ESD. The picture is the Sakura Festival in Okayama, blooming cherry blossoms trees, and it's along the Asahigawa River, which is another familiar river to Okayama people. It's very close to the Okayama Castle and the beautiful garden called Korakuen. So before COVID-19, every spring, many people get together along this river and enjoy the festival until late at night. In summertime, we have fireworks festival, and in autumn, we have many more events to enjoy the harvest season. So all through the year, this river bank is a place for citizens to enjoy the nature and the scenery. Since my childhood, I have countless good memories along here and attached to this place. I guess many citizens in Okayama are the same. And on the other hand, as you know, historically, humans are fighting with rivers. This picture is of when Odagawa River, which Mr. Muro mentioned and worked in, flooded after the heaviest rain we have ever heard in 2018 in Okayama. It was devastating and reminded us of the uncontrollable power of nature and our livelihood with rivers. In the past, Japanese people had more indigenous knowledge about rivers and its disaster. For example, people named certain districts easily can be flooded or damaged by the earthquakes with special words like dragon or snakes and so on, so many words to imply. And now, as part of ESD, some of our students are engaged in activities to listen to and record the life history of the local elderly and to convey the tacit knowledge that it's about to be lost, but has been passed down for generations. And in return, or empowerment process, it can be an empowerment process for the older generations or residents in remote area too. I think this is a similar process to the jungle school Gombak. And let me clarify the important factor of river care activities of all today from the viewpoint of ESD. Like Dr. Mann suggested, I think engagement and empowerment is the key words for implementing ESD. First of all, important thing is whether participants are enjoying it or having fun in the activities. This is quite simple, but for ESD activities or any kinds of outdoor activities, when I go to school for teacher training sessions to make ESD curriculum or to reorient their programs for ESD, many teachers ask me the same question. We do ESD activities such as river cleaning up with the local community and the students volunteers, but it's always the same, and I see that my students are doing it without complaining, but they're almost forced to do it. And also we know it's important for them to learn about the environment. Then I say, oh, make it fun and not just collect the garbage and give them to the agent company to proceed. Make it as a student-led project or research project. You can count the garbage, sort them out, and think why they become garbage. Before being thrown away, it was not garbage. It was something that had at all. You and your students can think why people throw them to the rivers. So you can make the activity something that kids would like to do it, even on holidays, not just before you. So this is my typical comment to the teachers, and the teachers goes like, oh, I forgot about that too. So teachers are not enjoying themselves either. So, okay. So yes, children, you can tell as an adult the place or field where you had fun in childhood or earlier days in your life where you had a good memories you are attached to, you will never want to destroy it. I think today's presentation, this part is also the common part. And it's not just for entertainment. And it's also for the it's also important that the activities nurture and develop children's sense of wonder. And it's essential that they have experience to touch nature, like seeing fish laying eggs in the river or endangered species because of our lifestyles. And I also ask teachers, do you yourself enjoy the activity? Like I said before, I know for achieving SDGs, education is important, and therefore educators are playing a crucial role. As a teacher educator, I ask myself and the teachers, am I enjoying the activity? If not, how can I make it enjoyable? This is simple but very important, especially for the youth engagement and the leadership for ESD. Adults are the mirrors. Many of the speakers have said, if you are truly enjoying your work, naturally, the youth will be attracted. And regarding the theory of transformative learning and the communities of practice, it is inevitable that the masters of the community are somewhat the youth find it as their future model. And the identity formation process should be the empowerment process for all participants. I could tell, especially these beautiful photos of active people in Malaysia, everyone is truly enjoy the activities, and that attracts more people. So as for the identity development and empowerment, transformation never occurs within ourselves. Transformation do occurs in the process of interaction with others, especially most possible when you work among people with different values, cultures, and backgrounds. We certainly need such opportunity, especially for younger generation, to understand and realize that they're connected each other and they're necessary or they're needed by the environment and the society. So it is intangible. You work for rivers together, and there are many elements to make it possible for everyone to learn and feel the connection. And finally, a question for you and for ourselves. So what kind of sustainable world are you trying to achieve through river activities? I believe that each of the groups that presented their case studies today had their own ideas, which are not permanent, but change over time. I think it is a valuable initiative for ESD that everyone is seeking a future vision of the river and the surrounding area in a dialogue, not an ideal image that someone has imposed, like national government or authorities. I think the key is whether every activity values the fair and free dialogues among the participants. I think such perspective can only be deepened when different practices are encountered, like today. So I really appreciate this opportunity through words are in crisis of COVID-19, but we should not stop our dialogues and try to find a way to get the river activities back to the children, and especially for the younger generations as soon as possible, right? So Japan and Malaysia have very different climates, cultures, and natural environments. But I feel that the difference is the reason for the deep learning. And I think the university that we find between us is also important. I hope we will continue to have such opportunities from now on too. Thank you very much for today, and please come to Okayama when COVID-19 is over. We will welcome you to many beautiful places like this, okay? Thank you. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Hiroko Sensei. Very interesting sharing and also very interesting summarization. And I think you hit the nail when you said when we get together and there's diverse opinions, that's when transformation in education happens. So I think we are on the right path, and we are hopefully in this session achieving that. So without further ado, this is also a session of question and answer. Participants, members of the public or the one listening in are welcome to address the speakers directly. And as we wait, there is a question posted in the chat. Let me just get it. This is for our Japanese counterpart. When did Japan start adopting tokatsu? How do you apply tokatsu during the pandemic when students are not able to go to school? Hiroko Sensei, maybe you would want to maybe start and also delegate it to Eiichi Sensei if he's around. I believe Takayuki Sensei has left. Over to you.
Yeah, Takayuki sensei is left. He's one of the best resource person for such educational crisis because he works for the Board of Education in Okayama Prefecture. But okay, I cannot generalize it right now because the situation differs from prefecture to prefecture. But at least in Okayama, schools are still open now, even under the COVID-19. And students go to school every day. However, the tokkatsu is certainly limited, and I think they're suffering from that too. Like 2 weeks ago, my son's elementary school were planning to have the sports festival, but it was all of a sudden canceled or postponed to the when COVID-19 is settled. So I cannot really respond to this question, how we are overcoming this issue, but at least we're trying to work together to solve how we can engage the students in activities out of the schools right now. So, okay, is this okay?
Would Eiichi Sensei would like to add on to your statement?
日本語でもいいですか？
はい。
はい。今日はありがとうございます。Thank you very much. 今日はありがとうございました。私も、岡山で川の活動をしています。で、皆さんが、たくさんの人が、川の活動を、しているのに、勇気づけられました。なかなか、教育だけでできる活動じゃないっていうのをケネディさんも、書いておられたと思いますが、その通りだと思います。いろんな人がいろんな方法で、川に、関わることで、良い川や、また持続可能な地域づくりにつながってきていると思います。私も立場がいろいろ変わりながらも、大好きな川に関わってきました。またそういう思いを持った今日、マレーシアの皆さんと一緒につながれたことがとても良かったと思います。これからもよろしくお願いします。
Hiroko Sensei.
Okay,
yeah,
let me summarize what he.
Yeah, maybe a summarization.
Yeah, what he. Yeah, I think he was trying to say is that it's not river activity is not only limited to the educational activities. It's more important to have a variety of the sectors work together and keep the dialogues between them. And then the most important thing is that you enjoy the activities to get involved with the rivers. So he was very happy to meet you all and to know about the good practices in Malaysia. And we can continue to exchange from now on too.
ありがとうございます。Amle, Aviyat, I hope both our panels have answered your question. There's no questions in YouTube. I'm just wondering whether anyone here, the participants in the room or in the Zoom link has any question to direct to any of the speakers. You can unmute your mic and direct it to the speakers, or maybe you can type it out.
I would also like to say that Mr. Amlir is also a river care activist. He is very, very active and has a very interesting site.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that added information, Kennedy. Anyone? Dr. Irina?
Yeah. Since we already share our overview on our problems at the local context and the regional context, so I would like to invite Mr. Tomonobu and also Dr. Hiroko if you have an overview on our problems. Sometimes the foreign eyes has better view on how is to look at our problems rather than via insight. So I welcoming both of you perspective on our problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback, Dr. Irina. And I'm just going to read the latest feedback from Nalaya Perasami, who says that I find it very interesting having participated in this webinar, gaining a lot of knowledge shared by speakers from Japan as well as from the local front on preserving the nature and environment for our future generation. Thank you very much for a splendid webinar and sharing. Well done all. I mean, kudos to the speakers. They've done great job and great work in presenting their work. Ken, that's your neighbor, yeah? All right. Okay. I believe there's also a comment from YouTube. Sarjit Singh Sorjan was saying that so great a feeling to see Kennedy participating in this universal program. Good activity. All right. Okay. Ken, you've got a fan base here. And another question says that how do these initiatives acquire funding for activities? I think this has cropped up in the first talk as well. Dr. Irina, would you want to maybe take that? Over to you, Dr. Irina.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, Teacher Hartini from Idrisi Schools. Thanks for your interest also coming to this webinar. I'm glad that hopes you can learn also from the Japanese experience on how to inspire the students to get involved with the river activities. I believe there are several fundings right now. The focus of most of the funding also towards actions. And then they are also welcoming the collaboration. Is not only the submitting partner, for example, like universities submit the proposal or the NGO submit the proposal, but would rather the different partner and different type of organization work together towards the action. So it's no more about the silo approach or one approach in developing the proposal itself, but no more now it's more towards on the what is the implementation and action at the grassroots level. So I think this webinar also provide you a platform for us to we're coming together. We can continue our internal this platform on how we can instill the possible potential research collaboration together. We have Mr. Kennedy from different platform on the River Friends of Sungai Klang. We have Dr. Ma'an from Friends of Sungai Pusu and also Dr. Zalifa. We have our Japanese partner that there are also several Japanese foundation. Then can by having this platform, you can feel free to contact the Japanese counterpart also to set up this potential work and collaboration to tap the Japanese funding or also the in Malaysia grant. I hope I answered the questions.
Thank you, Dr. Rina, and also Ken. You have something to add?
Yes, if I may. Funding is an interesting topic for us because we're coming to close to 156 weeks in a row. That's 3 years in a row of doing the work that we do. And as of today, we, apart from the National River Care Fund, which is given out by GEC, we have not received any government funding. And GEC is not a government agency, but we have not received any funding. And people come to us and they say, how do you do this? You have no money. And we're very proud of this because we don't believe that money is the solution to this problem. Now, a few things have happened in the River of Life Public Outreach Program. One is it was heavily funded, both the infrastructure project as well as the public outreach program. It was heavily funded. But if you look back at the 8 years, the traction and the impact was also very low. And in a lot of cases, what happened was, oh, sorry, we have no more money, so we give up. We're not going to do anything. And that's the end of the project. So one, it's a wasted capital, wasted effort of people, time, energy, and money, because it's not sustainable. So when we started, a few of us got together, we pulled together 400 ringgit, we bought some tools, and we started working on the premise that we will do this without funding to prove that it can be done. What we would do is we would create opportunities for engagement, we would create opportunities for ownership and buy-in that people will want to participate in. So what has happened was people have come to the site because the site is accessible. They look at it and said, hey, this is really nice, I want to participate. How can I contribute? And we said, okay, we're practicing the circular economy. We're trying to build river trails. So we need this precast concrete slabs. They cost 9 ringgit and 20 cents per piece. But because we're engaging with low income community, we sell them at 20 ringgit each, which includes labor costs for them to transport it and also to install the slabs. So somebody will say, hey, oh, that 20 ringgit, that's quite affordable, I can do it. So here's 20 ringgit. Oh, never mind, I'll just buy 10 slabs at a time. So the cost per entry for participation is very, very low because it's 20 ringgit. We have a school right next to us, and the kids came to me and said one day, hey, Mr. Kennedy, I can't afford 20 ringgit. So I said to him, do you have 20 friends or 10 friends? He said, yeah, I got 20 friends. I said, okay, you ask each of your friends for 1 ringgit. And then when you get 20, you can have 1 slab, and this slab will be yours. You own it, And so they went away and they did that. So this is another method that every opportunity we have, we use to teach. We used to teach about the circular economy. We used to teach about the sustainable development goals. We even teach entrepreneurship, and we also teach public personal responsibility. So no one is disempowered. That they feel that, oh, they have to contribute a lot of money in order for this thing to work. Up to date, literally, we have not received any government funding. But what has happened is because we have not asked for funding, a lot of government agencies and corporations have come and said to us, hey, I like your work, we like what you're doing, we like what we see, so can we give you money? And our answer is no. We don't want your money. And then they'll go like, but why? And we say, well, because I'd rather have your participation than your money. Even without money, with your time, with your energy, we can maintain the trails, we can continue to build the trails. But if your interest is only in giving money, then you put money and you think that the work is over, but it's not. The work is living, it's continuous. I'd rather have 1 hour of your time or 2 hours of your time, even once a year. I mean, we did an analysis of the number of people who live in this housing estate, and we figured that it would take roughly about 80 people to fully maintain the trail once it's fully built. It will only take them 2 hours in 1 year. That's all the time they have to contribute if we got everybody involved. So money isn't the solution. Yes, it's very helpful, but it's not the solution. And what we do tell people is that instead of giving us money, can you buy us some tools? Can you buy us some machinery? Can you buy us some equipment? Can you pay for some slabs? And so the whole transactional idea that money is the solution is removed, and people feel that when I put money into this thing, I am helping to build something that I own as a community. It's a larger thing, larger than myself. And they have a personal investment, they have a personal feeling. Yes, money is helpful, but I want to point that don't make money the center, because if you run out of money, what happens? Do you give up? Is that the end of your project? It's very, very wasteful. And that's my comment.
Thanks, Kennedy. I'm actually being very mindful of time, because we are actually 1 hour behind time. And we are not able to take in any more comments or questions, and some of our speakers have got to leave. That being said, one very last important thing that we have got to do is the picture taking. All right. So I would like to invite everyone that's still here, and thank you for staying up till the very end, to maybe turn on your camera and to make this an official record. All right. Thank you, Ustaz Asani, for turning on your camera. Teacher Hartini, And Cik Raja Ibrahim, thank you for turning on your camera. Anyone else is turning on their camera so that we can have a great picture? All right. Okay, let me just admit Dr. Norzalifah in, and maybe she can be included as well. Anyone else? Okay, all right. It's great to see everyone's faces. All right. So let's at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me take another page. 1, 2, 3. All right, awesome, everyone. Okay, I'll on behalf of Kaid and Dr. Irina and Hiroko Sensei and everyone that has participated in this program. Thank you so much for staying up till the end and great sharing. We hope to see you again in our next session. Please do watch the Kaid space for any new announcement. And on that note, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum, and hope to see you again. Bye.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
all.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sensei,
Terima
all panelists,
kasih.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
See you again.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとう。
ございました。
おはようございます。
それでは出ます。また。
Oh, Idrisi School Alam. Very good. Idrisi is eco school, yeah, Islamic eco school.
Dr. Norzalifah, we will be in touch soon. And I
Yeah.
like your
Please
I like
get
your
in touch.
headgear.
Internet line in the jungle is a bit unstable.
Oh,
Maybe
no
we
problem. It'll
have,
be easier when we see each other.
Maybe we
Yeah.
can have a meeting, one round for all the stakeholders here. So those who are interested, we might further have the discussion on how we move forward towards this action, because it's very inspiring also from the Japanese sharing session. And then that will be also provide us a reason also examples, yeah. And then Mr. Kennedy, I also would like to the action by the TMRA, yeah, Taman Melawati Resident Association. What I would like to discuss is you guys are able to stop the development of the rail, right? And then I'm also the same way, the same thing. I'm thinking why we cannot stop the upstream development near the Klang Gates part or dam, which is if we gather together, it's not only IUM but with other stakeholders and then like you guys and